Hello. Welcome
Hello.
to Titles and Troubles. Oh, wait, we've been through this before, Josh. Right, okay.
You gotta wait your turn.
Okay, there's an order. There's a sequence of these things. If we destroy the routine, then how are people going to know the sun's going to rise tomorrow? I mean, it's elemental chaos. It's going to be carnage. It's
like Radio 4 isn't working, the world's ending.
yeah, that's right. So now I'm going to have to add another stream marker, and I'm going to have to kick it off again. It is hard. Hello, no, don't start, Josh, and welcome to Titles and Troubles, the high-level Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition political game, where we have rivals and complications and invasions of neighbouring states, possibly, and that bitch de winter. Oh my! But less crown jewels than we started with, so there is that. I'm joined by the usual crew. So Josh, that's you. Josh.
Hello.
Who plays Ox, Dragonborn fighter. And Diego, played by Ben, who is a big polyhedral. And Martin, played by Darion. No, Darion, who plays Darion. Awful good.
One of us there.
Paladin. I have to say.
You've never seen us both in the same place, right?
Technically.
That's true. That's true. And having assessed your lawful goodness. Okay, either Ben's lost his mic or he's just mouthing.
Just whispering.
Oh, okay, just whispering. Oh, right. So we.
It's an ASMR session.
Yeah. Ben, you're always the one that starts these, I feel like.
Okay. I don't know if there are children watching, so let's keep it. No, let's not. Okay, so hold on a minute. Welcome to our 3 viewers. I think that's me, you, Josh, testing the stream, and some other people. Who knows? And we're going to be playing through to about 11 o'clock as usual. A couple of things to point out. So thank you, and I'm going to get the name wrong, Matsias, who is an artist that Ben commissioned to draw a fantastic piece of art of the 3 main protagonists in the Darkblade Villa in Waterdeep. It will be plastered everywhere that this stream and this YouTube video is. So you'll see that, and you'll also see in the new title sequence when we get to it on YouTube some of his kind of close-up artwork. It cost 40 quid each, and it's well worth it. I think everybody's going to be printing copies and hanging them on the walls. Maybe, Martin, that's what we'll use for your abandoned school that you as the green screen background.
What is Martin doing?
I haven't got a clue.
I realised I'm losing charge, so I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. I don't know if that's his laptop or himself. This Martin. There's just like 2 pair of hands with a big battery coming and just into his back. Explains quite a lot. Okay, so well, we lost a load of viewers, so it was clearly us checking the stream. Or they hated the intro. Who knows? So last time on Time and Troubles, the player characters, the characters actually, had arrived in the county of Surkazar, and there were some seriously tense, nail-biting negotiations. I mean, I was at the edge of my seat. So and that led to Diego only having to find 1,500 gold pieces for his part of the funds of the entry into Surkazar. His other concessions that he made to the city were sensible and practical, and he managed to avoid falling into the trap of favouring one set of his people over and above the others. At the moment, it's inevitably going to happen. And then it's going to be Surkazar which is like where you accede from the rest of Tethia in a badly thought out plan mocking Brexit, possibly. But you sense that negotiation was the opening salvo in what could be a long and tedious journey. Probably, hopefully, played out in the forum rather than wasting time around the virtual table.
It will affect the game, won't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely will. There will be an interaction. Ox, you met your people at what will become your home. You got to find a name for it. You need to name that land.
I
Oxholm.
think of something.
Oxholm.
Oxland.
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 Obviously.
Oxland sounds like it's peninsula. Oh, yeah, the Darkblade. Yeah, okay. There's been a steady trickle of funds from the Dragonborn in the Darkblade direction. It's kind of like you could follow the gold pieces. Oh, hello, Danilo.
The Valley of Danolo.
Yeah, the Valley of Danilo. Blackheart County.
Yeah.
Ox came to the realization that the way and manners of the mercenary tribe that he leads may not be the best method to win hearts and minds. Having woken up on the first morning that the first night he spent in his new home to essentially a war camp. He was joined by Resmir, a female black dragonborn, who has contacts in Arm and perhaps beyond, and swelled the tribal numbers a little, and she has arranged for a way to provide food over the coming winter, fresh meats and such like coming down from Arm, and that's a cost of 900 gold a week. So it's quite expensive, and that dragon horde will quickly whittle itself down. She, however, has offered to lead an arranged improvement of road between Greennest, the main town to the north of Ox's to-be-named area, and the city of Saradush, and she is funding this endeavour out of her own pocket as a mark of respect for the path that Ox is blazing. And it also means that Ox doesn't need to spend a resource point on that activity kind of later on. Meanwhile, Darion made the rewarding journey to Daramar at the summons of his queen. A week of hard travelling for a 30-second audience. It was like that time he went to the brothel in Waterdeep. A couple of hours stuck in traffic, lasted 2 seconds. That's just what the chat said. That's what the chat said. Come on, it's not me who made that up. It's what I read in the in the Waterdeep Times gossip column. But at least it was a week away from the negotiations, so there is a silver lining. He was commanded to investigate a set of brigands that were ruthlessly attacking the southern marches of Tethia, including some parts of the county of Surkazar. He was told, "Bring them to justice, or meet them in the field." The military is starting to wind down a little bit as kind of winter starts to approach now, kind of heading into winter quarters and such like. Not so much in this kind of area because the weather's too inclement, but the food to provide an army in the field is quite difficult because the harvest has been drawn in, and it would very quickly drain those, so it tends to be logistically difficult to put an army into the field. This is, however, his first opportunity to flex his muscles as the Hawk of Alamander, with kind of jurisdiction in legal matters all throughout Tethia. However, you know that some of the brigands have attacked villages, or at least one village in Kalimsham, and they operate irrespective of the national border. Can you imagine Donald Trump? It would just be a carnage, wouldn't it? Like all these brigands, Mexico, up and down and around. Oh my goodness me! And you headed down to the village of Marion, close to the Kalashite border. And you met Imrix, a captain of the Kalashite troops, who promised to exchange a prisoner from the brigands in return for audience or being able to interrogate, maybe question, certainly, a runaway slave from Kalimsham, which you granted, and he kind of recently headed off. Imrix also pointed out that the ground of the village was cracked, as if something had started to push up from the surface below. And that's where we left our intrepid crew, gathered in a small square at the centre of the village by the communal well. It is worth noting, of course, that there are no people in this village, no sign of them, no hide nor hair, one could say. And it's just quiet. The normal bird song is absent. There's not very many creatures. You can see the forest of Mir kind of off in the distance, the boughs of that, and the air. You can smell there's kind of slight smell of charcoal. There's quite a lot of charcoal burning in this region, but it's predominantly kind of olive groves, citrus fruits, that kind of area. Oh, we just lost the stream. That's not so good.
There's clearly no sign of any struggle or any fight or battle.
So we're back, which is good. There is a sign of a struggle. That looks like it's
Nothing.
re-established itself. There's
Taken,
well, some things of value had been taken,
but not
but
the really valuable stuff.
but
In, like you said it was a chapel. Or something.
yeah, there's a chapel of Chantier. The valuables, kind of, the plate and the chapel's there. It's inconsistent. It's kind of like it doesn't feel like there's a sustained robbery. However, foodstuffs, animals, flour from the communal mill, any bread from the communal mill, that kind of foodstuffs has been taken. So they left the chapel plate, but they took any supplies, anything like that, with them.
Now, if you were going to run away, you would take supplies with you. So perhaps they fled and took stuff.
Darion was told by the Queen that they are kind of like holding themselves up for the winter. So it may well be that they're undertaking this raid to kind of get supplies. But if they kidnapped the people, that just means that's more mouths to feed, perhaps. Yeah. Sorry, Diego.
It's crack. How big is it?
So it's not a fissure, but if you imagine, do you know, like if you get dirt and you push up from underneath it, the surface of the dirt starts to crack like in a scale pattern.
Yeah.
It's like that, as if something beneath is kind of like, and it's kind of like looks as if it's kind of like gathered around the well and then kind of pushed out a little bit.
The water has forced its way up, and then the water's all dried away.
So yeah. That's not a bad analogy. Yeah.
I think we should look. Is the well covered, or can we peer down it?
We can peer down it. It looks dark, like your soul.
Here's one thing that actually crossed my mind since last session. We specifically said that Lady Teft did join us in this venture out here.
Yeah. Okay.
Did she smell anything peculiar?
Ooh, can Lady Tess smell anything peculiar? I smell humans, she says. She doesn't. I replied,
like, it wouldn't be wrong. There's humans here.
that's a low.
Where were these shit you? Where?
And she is
cleaning herself.
Yeah, she's just licking herself in parts that you wish you could lick. She has that. She not unusual. She's no, she can't really smell anything particularly unusual.
Diego, have you got your night vision goggles?
Everywhere I go.
Peer down this well, see what you can see.
Yeah.
I feel like this whole thing's really strange though, because like it can be bandits or whatever all you like, but why are the birds like upset by it? Why are there no birds?
Not that sure.
Yeah, there's more going on here than just like general banditage. That's the correct term.
Brigandage, I think, is the correct term. No, I think brigandage is the correct term. Banditry. In fact, no. You see the bandit tree. There's like a load of bandits just hanging from its branches. Boom tish. Oh yeah, should be on the stage.
Three makes a slight adventure.
Yeah, and there's about I think it's a cluster of 15 houses gathered around, about 50 people in the hamlet village, kind of thing is what the estimate was. What's the range on the goggles?
60 feet, I think.
Okay, so you see that the well drops down, but you don't see any kind of like reflection. It looks like it is dry. You see the kind of like rocky fissures down there. Make a perception roll for me.
I'm thinking should be dry. 15.
15?
Ain't bad.
Yeah, okay, so you see that there is kind of what looks to be a small crack. By small, kind of not like hairline, but a small fissure in the bottom of the well. The well is kind of like the rock here can't be that strong because it's bricked around, and you can see there's a crack, as if some of the bricks have been removed down the bottom of the well.
I asked Ox to hold one end of my rope, and I'll shoot myself down.
Can't you just walk down with your spider slippers?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Ox says, you race over to him with the rope, and he's like, everybody make perception checks, please.
Uh-oh.
20, non-natural.
Ooh, that's not bad. Oh, I've got a +0. Still, it's 19.
Mm-hmm.
I got 17 plus 3, 20.
Yeah, okay. Diego?
17.
As Diego starts to kind of like, you go, what about your shoes and such, like, he kind of goes off, and he kind of like, he's walking along, and then thump, and then it's like walking on the side. The problem is you have to crouch, because it's not wide enough that way, so you kind of like, you're basically going down a narrow tunnel. You all see Resmir's eyes kind of like go, and like a slightly covetous, like, whoa, that I need some of them look kind of comes across her face, and then she kind of quickly kind of like, tries to hide it, and looks around and sees that you guys have seen her, and she looks slightly embarrassed, I guess. Okay, you make your way, down the sewer pipe as it is to you, and you kind of like look at the crack, and certainly it looks like bricks have been taken out, and there has been a fissure created, so like a little tunnel into the side. But you would have to squeeze through it, and you don't think certainly Darion with his plate armor would be able to get through, and Ox is just too big to kind of get through a gap of that size.
It looks specifically like they've been moved, not like bashed through.
Great care wasn't taken in the removal of these bricks, but they've been taken. They've been smashed. Some of them have been smashed. Maybe a sledgehammer went at it. There's a load of fine dust. Sorry?
What side of whatever wall is left are these actually on there?
What do you mean, sorry?
Like, you've got the wall, it's got the big hole in. Are the bricks on this side or the other?
I'm a bit of both. The larger ones, there's like a small stash just beside you on your side. It's come from the bottom of the well out. That's pretty obvious. It's come from the bottom of the well out. It's not like it's punctured through this way. Something has smashed the bricks, probably with a sledgehammer. There's a load of fine dust and fragments of bricks, and then once it's got to a certain size and kind of been bashed enough, it looks like they've just pulled them and stacked some and chucked some.
So it's going into the well?
It looks like it's going from the well into whatever is the other side of the wall. It feels chilly down here as well. You're about 50 feet down.
Do you think we should follow him down, Darion?
Oh boys!
Catch me, Diego!
Your arm is scraping against the side of the well as you go down. Slowing your descent.
Claws just all the way down like a chalk. Oh.
Okay, so what are you doing, Diego?
I'm gonna wait for the rest of us to join.
How big is this space? I'm pretty sure it's probably like a 5-foot square. We're all trying to stack ourselves on there. Like, how big is it? Yeah.
Can you squeeze through and see what's the other side?
No, I've got to keep going.
Okay. So you kind of like, and you have to duck down and you have to push through. So it's human-sized, the crack, but not kind of wearing plate armor and stuff like that. It's quite tight. It scrapes against your chest as you kind of go through. Catches the cap. You have to take that off and carry it through. It is really, really cold in this chamber, and it opens out. It kind of opens out. There's about just over 5 foot that you squeeze through. Then it opens out into a largest chamber. It looks like almost like a bit of a bubble has kind of pressed up, and you can see it rises just to about the periphery of your vision, just a little bit lower. So it kind of has risen or pushed up a little, and it encompasses more or less the size of the village. You would estimate how it is. Kind of like having a little look around, you kind of get into it. And as you're scanning around, you see that there are a number of raised platforms. There's some close to where you're almost kind of like in the centre, and you see the stone of the well kind of go up as a pillar. And then there's these raised platforms just in the periphery of your vision out there. And there's a thin, kind of whitish looking mist kind of swirling around your feet.
Ooh. This has gone all very the time machine right now.
Mm-hmm. Do you need us to follow you down there? Well, like echo all the way
It may
down.
take me some time. I don't want to. If I yell, certainly draw. Is it so cold that I'm starting to feel like I'll lose?
No. It's cold, like you are starting to...
Could I cut glass with my nipple?
That's exactly. I was going to ask if that was the type of.
Do you have any glass?
Not on me.
No. So, in theory, yes, you could, but as you lack glass to do the practical, it's an unproven assertion.
The lens is on your goggles.
So, I now can tell you I can cut magical glass with my nipples, but I can't see where the fuck I am. It's a small price to
it
pay.
may take a bit of extra time, but I would definitely make my way back up the well, certainly to a height of maybe halfway, and I'm like, you need to come down here, and you need to see them.
Yeah, so you squeeze back through and you kind of start to clamber up. As you're kind of clambering up, you see that there are small holes kind of as you're going through the up the well. These look to be pretty well built into the well sides. It occurs to you that if there was a chamber, if this chamber was filled with water, then that water would seep into the well, and that might be how it draws its water through. But you kind of get about halfway up, and you shout up to the guys.
Yeah.
Tef starts to clamber down. She kind of what's the word where she just stretches herself across the gap and then just kind of with her back and her legs braces herself and just starts to climb down like that. Oh,
that's sexy.
Oh, it is pretty sexy. Yeah. I mean, you just stand there and you let your hard on fasten yourself onto the other side. as she climbs past you.
Infiltrate some like buildings and heists and whatnot, but that is.
Yeah. She smashes your erect cock really hard as she comes past. It's painful. But it's the way you guys roll. She kind of squeezes past you, kind of like shaking her head, like with a slightly cheeky grin. And she goes down. What's down there? She says.
My penis.
I can see that. What's down there?
Strange cavern, very strange cavern.
Okay, she kind of heads down. Okay, what are the rest of you guys doing?
Darion, how many of us should go down? Should we leave some up here?
I suppose I'll go down.
Yeah,
so Darion...
Raj.
Yeah, Darion starts to go down, and then all his bodyguards come down.
At once.
Maintaining formation.
I follow Tef back down.
You follow Tef down, okay.
I'm going to see if the rope's sufficient to
What rope?
all my weight, because I'm pretty heavy.
There is no rope. There's no rope.
Oh, well, I'm going to use my rope, then. That should be secure for me.
Okay, what are you tying it off to?
You know how... So I assume the well's kind of like... Say that's the well. Has it got kind of wooden...
It may have done, but it doesn't anymore.
We could all hold it.
Just Ox could hold it. He's strong.
Yeah, but me and Resmir and all your entourage could.
Don't do yourself a disservice on.
Yeah.
You are really strong. You
Tef
can
takes
do
a
this.
takes a look in. She smells it and she says, "I'm not going in there." And she kind of steps back out. I'm not going in there.
What's it smell like?
Death's embrace gathers within there, and she starts to clamber back up. Just she kind of like just clambers with her hands back up.
Well, I guess that means I have to go in there now.
But
It's just like, you can go in, husband.
Those three all go in.
yes, dear.
You did sign the will and the life insurance deed, yeah.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll hand the rope off to some people, and then
You
just
can
kind of
use the
slide down.
handholds on your way down as well, because it's kind of built in as well.
Yeah, but
You do that.
I'm heavy, and I'm
I'll
wearing
hold the rope.
gauntlets. It's like it's not going to be practical to climb
I'll
without a
hold the
rope.
rope. I'll do a
Yeah.
couple of. Whoa! I'm gonna drop it.
Take an inspiration point.
Scare him.
Yeah. As Darion gets to the bottom, the place starts to fill with snakes. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
As Taff inspires us,
The rope was a giant snake inside.
Giant constrictor snake. It's got his teeth in Josh's shoulders. Okay, so you get down to the bottom. You see that scene at the bottom. There's no way you could get through that gap with plate armor.
as Taff's made her way up, as she passes now. says
Sorry,
to her,
go on.
If I die, tell my uncle the Queen is on her way.
She says, "Of course I will, my dear," and she gives you a little peck on the cheek.
Yeah.
Unusually, she doesn't like nip you. It's just a little peck. So it shows she must be out of sorts slightly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Darren, you're down at the bottom. You've had to wait for Tef to come up. Tef's come up. She's shaking her head. She's kind of like gone and stand. She's gone and stood in a spot of sun. You get down to the bottom. Ox and Resmir gives him a hand, lowers you down. You can brace yourselves against the wall and such like, so it's not a massive problem. Every so often, Ox does the whole thing. You were expecting it, frankly.
I actually feel a bit put out by this. She's fought a fucking lich.
Yeah. And that kind
So
that kind of experience leaves a mark on your soul. And then you get down there,
Not particularly my soul.
and it is there. The fissure is too small for you to get through in plate.
Can I make it bigger?
How are you going to do that?
Just by kicking it and
Okay.
kicking it.
So you can start to pull out kind of bits of the brickwork and so on, but then as soon as the brickwork faces off against the earth and the rock, it's just a bit too solid for you to be kicking your way through like that.
Well, what if I smite it?
Smite a rock.
Then you'll probably damage your sword. It's not gonna do any damage to it. It's toughness. I don't even know what 5e does for that, but it's not gonna, because otherwise you just start smiting castle walls, and that's just the road to madness.
I'll shout down from the top of the well. Do you require a horn of blasting?
Oh, do we still have that?
Yeah, we do.
But it could go horribly wrong.
Do you know what?
Mean rolls to failure is starting to get close.
I'll collapse the well in on you.
I
Do you
mean,
know what? I'm serious. Yeah, do you know what? There's so many variables.
Could look for another entrance.
Well, I can't get through. Diego, can you travel further inside and see I mean, you can scale up the walls, up to the well. Can you see where it would be like practical for us to dig through down here, or
If there's any more
I
light.
mean,
find an
like
entrance?
just a hole in the ground.
Let's
Well,
see if there's
just
any more light coming through anywhere.
Yeah, see if there's another entrance or like a weak patch of ground that we could
Is
dig
there
through.
any light?
No, it's
I'm
dark.
not taking the goggles off. If I take those off, is there any light?
No, there's a little bit of light from the entranceway, but not very much. You're 50 foot vertically down, and it's only a small gap. There's no openings at the top.
You could always take your plate mail off.
Not happening.
I don't think
yeah.
Further in.
Diego, can you find a part that would be make it feasible for us to dig through? So if you go in it and then walk up the well on the outside, am I right in understanding that that's the way this is? It's a dome around the
Yeah.
If you walk up the well on the outside, can you find a patch on the roof that would be?
I'm going to go around the back of the entrance of the well and walk way up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, can you make me a perception roll, please?
I do this stealthily.
Yeah.
Perception roll. Oh yeah, 18. 23.
Excuse me. As you start to move up the well side, you kind of like have a look down, and you see that the platforms and the ones that are within your vision have what look to be humanoid corpses laid upon them. They're still, but they're there. Make an intelligence check.
Oh, that'll help.
They aren't the villagers, are they?
8.
Okay. So that's what you see. And you start to kind of come up, and it's quite hard. I mean, you don't have masses of geological knowledge. You know, in theory, if you count your paces right, you're not much more than 6 feet off the top. So if somebody was to be digging down, and it feels more like dirt than solid rock.
Okay. Oh. Like the floor is hollow.
Yeah, a little bit like that.
Oh.
Like it's packed earth. Some, possibly, you don't know the engineering, but possibly it's being held together with the surface tensions, or maybe you don't really know.
Ugh.
But there's not much. You don't think there's much more than 6 feet between you and the surface if your pacing's right.
Shit, fucking big sinkhole.
Yeah. Start shouting then. Can we hear through? Can the people up top hear from that? Just the 6 inches.
No, six
Although I'm not sure about
6
that.
feet, not 6 inches.
Sorry, 6 feet. 6 feet. Yeah,
And the answer to that question is no. Yeah, that's a male 6 inches.
Do you,
I was
Darren,
going to say stick your rapier, but that's
Darren,
not
would my adamantite axe be of use to you?
Oh yeah, because that all crits and cuts through stuff, doesn't it?
You might be able to hack through the crevice.
Yeah, pass it down. I'll sheath my blade. I've still got the torch in one hand.
I'll tie it on a rope and winch it down to you.
So this is going to be noisy, and this is going to take a lot of time. So that's all the Darren's going to be doing for a while. It's going to be.
See if it does anything.
Yeah, okay, you start to swing with an axe, not a hammer.
Adamantite
Yeah.
axe.
Okay, so you're cutting slithers into the rock, and you're embedding it into the rock and pulling it out, and you're having to like almost cut squares out to try
Squares, yeah.
try and get through. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
We're in a charcoal burner's village. There must be tools around. I'll head into. I'll look around the village and I'll get everyone to look around. Find
Some tools have been looted, but
Mining.
you do get a set of sledgehammers, 2 or 3 sledgehammers that look pretty sensible, pretty good quality, reasonable quality. Chuck those down to Darion.
Yeah.
A couple of his bodyguards kind of like get lowered down and they start swinging away as well. Starting to make, it's probably yes, one, it's making a load of noise, and 2, it's hot work down there, so it's probably about an hour's work.
Yeah, but it's cold down there, so it
It's
balances
all
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing, Diego?
get a bit twitchy just waiting for like.
Mm-hmm.
Inspect those dead bodies then.
Yeah, I'll inspect the dead bodies.
Okay,
I'll have a look at them.
Yeah, okay, so you head across to the kind of first platform that you saw. So this is it's like the rock something's been cut around the rock, and this is all solid to the ground. So it's not a platform like on stilts or anything like that. It's like the surface has been dug around, and this has left the platform raised there.
There's a trench going around.
Yeah, like a trench within which has got a load of raised platforms in. And the raised platforms are clustered together, so there's 3 here, and there's 2 across there, and there's 5 over there. Make an intelligence roll with... and make an investigation roll with advantage.
Oh. Boom, 19.
So as you're kind of like looking at this and you're puzzling it out, it very much looks like the platforms here mimic the properties above. So it's almost as if this chamber stretches through the village, and the platforms are kind of representative of where the houses are. And on each one of the platforms there is a human corpse. One of them starts to twitch a little bit as you kind of get there, and this quite long, thin tongue flicks out. They're all naked, and they are all in various states of... They're all in various states of decay. And a lot of them just twitch every now and again, almost like as if they're dreaming, kind of like that. And there are black gems placed on both of their eyes, and they're of all sexes and all ages.
No pulse is definitely dead.
Well, do you want to feel one?
They're twitching around. I want to go to...
To what you
I
doing?
feel more comfortable with Darion down here.
Darion,
I've never
Undead
felt more
Slayer.
comfortable with Darion. If Darion gets down here, I've never felt more comfortable.
What are you doing?
I will hold my action to hug Darion when he gets down here. I'm so glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Are we fast forwarding to that part then?
Well, Ox, are you doing anything? Sorry, Ben. Diego.
It's like normal black stones, just
Black gems, black stones, something like that, and they're placed across the eyes. And as you're kind of like looking at some of them, and the tongue sticks out, you see that some of the eyes have kind of like almost... Some of the eye sockets have almost rotten away, and they're kind of like quite deeply embedded into the eyes. Some others are kind of like resting on it. The bodies are in various states of decay, and there's no rhyme or reason that you can kind of find as to why some are decayed more than others or anything like that.
well, I know better to go and touching random gems.
Yeah, okay. Make me a perception
roll.
Perception roll, please.
Ooh. Well, that's also good. That is 18.
Okay, stood right at the back of the chamber, on what would be the edge of the kind of northern edge of the village. There are 2 8-foot tall, immobile humanoids. You've just caught them in the kind of periphery of your vision, and their arms are kind of ground down to almost stumps. They look fleshy, and as you kind of peer a little bit closer, you see that they're stitched together and just completely immobile.
Hmm.
Have they got those black stones embedded in their eye?
No.
Have they clocked me?
They are completely immobile. Other than the waving and the Go Diego sign that they've got. Welcome Count, happy birthday
It's like big
banner. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Plug myself in now.
Does anybody else need to plug themselves in? I wouldn't be talking to you if my desktop PC wasn't plugged in, so... So, Ox, you doing anything in the hour?
So is it just an hour? What time of day is it? Like,
It's midday about now.
Okay. I'm
Early
slightly
afternoon.
suspicious. If we're making a lot of noise in the, is it echoing up the well? And making
Yeah,
noise?
so
Like,
the banging, the smashing of sledgehammers against stone is echoing, yeah.
I want to have everyone kind of spread out amongst the village and kind of hide in like the shelter of houses and kind of maybe like just in case anyone is attracted by the amount of noise, they're not going to immediately see it. So like we kind of like hang back until we hear more from Darion.
Yeah, okay. So you've broken out the fissure sufficiently that with a bit of ducking and a bit of breathing in tightly and squeezing with your elbows, you can kind of get your way through. One of the bodyguard, I'll go and tell the rest. He kind of starts to pull himself up the rope. They're pretty mobile individuals. The other one stays quite close to you. He's got his sword drawn. He's got a torch that he lights. I'll go forward.
And no.
Yes,
Something's
and
good.
he starts to move in. Ah! He doesn't die. As light starts to spill into the chamber, Diego, you see the mist is almost drifting. It's got a kind of like a drift about it. It's almost swirling around. You didn't really notice this just with the goggles, because the goggles it's all kind of grayscale really. But as a light plays on it, you kind of see these things, and you see that the eyes of the 2 8-foot immobile kind of creatures that are there, they are as black as night, but they're not reflecting like the stones did, but they're like Danilo's eyes, where he's got black eyes around his black iris. It looks a little bit like that. And you see that there's just dirt and streaks of bone and muscle and flesh on their arms. So their arms look as if they would be in the normal proportion to the body, but it also looks like they've just scraped them into almost kind of like to the elbow. And you can see dirt and stone and stuff on the
These
stumps.
are like nightmares.
Oh no, nightmares are a flaming
They dig through the well.
demonic horse. They're not that. So
Is it possible that they dug through the well? Judge it based on that.
yeah, it could be. Anyway, so Darion, you're stood at the base of the well. Your bodyguard is. What nightmare is this? Darion, make me a perception roll.
Well as the perception, with the smell of death, I think I'm going to let off another divine sense. I used divine sense once.
Let off a divine sense.
It's like a paladinic fart. It's like a paladinic fart, isn't it? I fart divine sense. My wee is the best tasting water you will ever have.
Filtered.
So yeah, will the divine sense get me any bonuses to this perception check?
No. Divine sense does exactly what it does in the book.
Yeah, but if it points out undead, then surely I'm more likely to notice them. If it's an undead, you're talking about this perception check.
But you're actually down here.
Oh, but then I can actually sense it. Like, it's actually, like, yeah. So do I need to make the perception check anymore?
Yeps.
Okay. Oh, it doesn't tell the direction, does it? No, that's bad. That's a 7.
Okay. And so divine sense does what?
So it's unholy, holy stuff.
It's unholy. The whole place is unholy.
Right, and I should be able to tell if undead are afoot.
There are no undead feet here.
There are no what, sorry?
No undead feet. Celestial fiend undead. Ooh, now that is an interesting question. You get a feeling that you've never had before. You gaze across into Diego's eyes. You meet in the darkness. You get a feeling that you've never quite had before. this one. Okay, so it's really quite powerful. This is desecrated land, as per the Hallow spell. So somebody has actively desecrated this land, and it's you get this like really variable feeling of whether there are any undead present or not. Kind of like, and you never felt that before. It's always been very binary. Yes, there are. No, they're not. But this is a kind of like maybe there are, or in potential there are. It's a nebulous thing. It's a bit vague.
Like almost like it's dormant, but not.
Yeah, Diego, make me a perception roll, please.
Or it's a fiend.
Yep.
Or an evil
Ox,
celestial.
one of Darion's bodyguards, comes up and says, "We've broken through."
Okay, I'll try. I'll head down then.
Yeah,
You
okay.
know, you don't-
Resmir says,
we
"I'll
get
hold up
again.
here. I'll hold up here." Tefneka's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, I'll tell everyone up the top to kind of keep hidden, but watch the well
Yep.
and
Okay.
watch the perimeters of the village. Can I fit through the gap, or am I gonna have to like really force my way through?
You're gonna have to really force yourself through, but we don't call you collateral damage for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are kind of like looking around at this eerie scene, and then sort of like Ox just leans against the wall, and it's like this cartoon shape of Ox. Right, stood in front of you. There you go. What did you get on your perception roll?
15. I love rogue bullshit.
Okay. The only thing I really like, are you able to be near? No, in fact, you're going to call it out anyway.
I think it's a word of that. You've
You
got
cut out.
Yeah, you really cut out there.
On the bodies, Diego, as you're kind of like looking and the light spills in, you see a blue triangle. It looks like it's painted onto their foreheads. You didn't see this before with your monochrome vision, but now that the light is there, you can kind of make it out. And the light glints. The light glints. Yeah, the bodies are really cold, and they're almost like do you know like when your hands have been out in kind of like ice cold air, and like you lose feeling in it as soon as you touch this body, it kind of feels like that. It doesn't rub off. It doesn't rub off. No.
When I get down there, I'll say, "Balmer aid me," and my axe will glow then, so I've got light.
Yeah. Flickers. It almost like feels like it's combating against the darkness a little. It kind of says, "Balmer aid me," but it flickers. But then this kind of platinum dragon head roars and kind of lets out this blue fire whooshes through. You all see those two immobile figures right at the back of the chamber who don't react.
So I raise my blade and take a battle stance and say, "By my side, Killian."
I don't think Killian came with you. I think you just left him, and a couple of the other bodyguards came with you.
Unnamed bodyguard.
Bodyguard number
You should
one.
name them all.
Yeah, he has. Yeah. 1, 2, 3,
Numero.
4. Yeah, numero. Okay. What are you guys doing?
I guess at first I'll just do what Diego did. I'll have a quick wander around and like have a look at things and discuss it. But yeah, them.
Make an investigation roll, Ox.
Yeah, I'm going over to those immobile creatures as well. With my
17.
sword and
17. So you're a covetous black dragon, aren't you?
Yeah.
You like shiny things. You recognise the stones that are placed on the eyes as being black opals.
sword. The best color.
Black onyx. Sorry, black onyx.
About onyx.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so tempted to take one of these off their eyes.
Oh, I am very tempted. Actually,
Well, if you do one eye, I'll do the other.
we'll look at Darion and be like,
So who was
It's
going over
like-
to look at these immobile creatures? Sorry.
Me and Darion, because we haven't seen them yet.
Okay, so they are 8 foot tall, humanoid creatures. The arms are like stumps. It's a reasonable conclusion to draw that somehow they kind of like carved out some or all of this chamber. They're completely and absolutely immobile. They've got these unnerving black eyes, a bit like Danilo's actually. Now you think of it, they've got blue triangles in their forehead, and they're all kind of stitched together as if they're joined together by different masses of flesh and muscle, and
I know what
a bit
I'm
misshapen.
checking when I'm
I'm going to wink at Darion, pull out 2 hunting traps out of my backpack and put them right in front of each of them, and then like walk backwards.
Okay.
Just so if they walk forward, they're gonna get caught straight away.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the AC on escaping those things? 'Cause I'm pretty sure they'll
Not
have a
very
good-
high.
but yeah, the DC rather. Yeah.
But we'll hear if we've got our back turned, we'll hear a if they suddenly move.
seeing that
let's-
Diego's like
can we have a look?
wonderful work.
Can we have a look at the perimeter of the room? I mean, like.
It's
there
a
must
whole
be some
size of the
entrance
whole
to
village.
this. Sorry,
Perimeter's gonna be
teleportation.
very
circle.
big.
Sorry.
Size of
Okay,
the
one
room.
at a time. Sorry. So, Darion, you're looking at the perimeter of the room.
Yeah. Can we have a look at the perimeter of the room?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
like, is there any discernible entrance, or like, it can't have just been? I mean, something had to put these plaques down here. Like,
Yeah,
must
so
be
there is no
plaques that
discernible
people have,
discernible entrance that you can see. Sorry, Diego, you were going to ask something, say something. Oh, okay, Josh, Ox.
I was just going to I was just saying it's the size of the village, isn't it? The whole
Approximately,
cabin,
yeah.
kind of a footprint.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up a pebble and from a distance just chuck it at one of the mobile 8-foot creatures.
Okay, make an attack roll.
18.
It pings
I've
off
rolled
its
17
forehead.
3 times.
Pings on my D17. It pings off its forehead. Doesn't do anything. As you're perambulating the perimeter, Darion, you come across, as you kind of come back around and you hear the ping of the creature's head, so you're almost behind them. You see a load of twine and like offcuts of twine, and it looks a bit bloody and kind of a really blood-stained, quite large bag down there. And it all looks like it's just been discarded and chucked back, and there's a really big kind of needle there as well. You can look at it a little bit more closely without touching it, and you see it's inscribed with some form of magical sigils.
And when I do the full sweep, do I find nothing else after that?
Nope.
Oh, the trenches between like the main floor and these pillars, these.
Okay, so let me let's be clear about this. So it's, if that's the floor, it's all one level, and then there's these platforms, but they're all made of the same material, so they're not placed upon the platform. So if you imagine that was the level, so if this was the level of the floor before, it's been excavated, leaving something like that there, and then the body has been placed there.
Right.
So it's nothing spectacular. It's just
So
like
it looks like a
rocks.
foundation.
This is
of
quite.
a house.
Yeah,
Well,
foundation of
that's-
house is a good example. Yeah.
Okay. No.
These black onyx gems are getting a bit too tempting. I'm gonna go. Yeah, good. Do you think we should? And I'm gonna try and pinch
Okay,
one.
why
off.
not take
Okay.
the other?
Not one of the deep ones. One of the ones that's like on the surface. It's like.
Okay,
pinch
so
one.
there's
Yeah.
a body of a human girl, not much more than 7 or 8, you reckon, Diego? I mean, frankly, to you, Ox, most human children all look the same.
They look like halflings.
Yeah, there's a human girl or halfling.
You both look like halflings to me.
She hasn't got hairy feet, and they're just like resting pretty much on the top. You kind of pull one off and pull one off. You see the eye underneath looks like it's decaying a little bit, but not much different than you would normally expect. They do flick
Hold it.
every so often. One will twitch or arch its back, or its tongue will flicker, come out.
What are
Tongues
you
don't
talking
look
about
normal,
these
though.
tongues?
Yeah.
The tongues are longer than normal and they're blacker than normal. They remind you of creatures, undead creatures that you have fought before, actually, in the jungles of Chult. And now that you think on that memory, you recall that the undead that were under the control of Rasnasi in Chult, a lot of the Chult had blue triangles in their foreheads.
I was thinking you were.
Ah, so. Like
And now I'm just worried about Asarak again.
These powerful necromantic magics, you reckons?
I mean, hallowed or desiccated ground is, I think, something I can't do. Like, that's a really high level spell.
Fifth level.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do then is, can I take a bit of cloth and, seeing as the needle is inscribed, can I wrap the needle up in a cloth and take it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, what are you doing, guys?
The inscribing on the mirrors, the font isn't at all similar to that of what I saw in De Winter's Mirror, is it?
No.
Okay. It's good to double check these things.
It's always sensible to double check these things.
This place is really big, though. I was wondering if I could turn undead to see if I can force some of these creatures out of the body.
None of them strongly pinged as being undead when you did the divine sense.
I know. It was just a thought, because I don't want to leave here doing nothing, and I don't really want to dismember the corpses either.
There's nothing in this bag apart from this pin, is that right?
And it's like blood stained, and there's offshoots of twine, very similar twine to kind of what's joining these creatures, bits of these creatures together. It looks like similar stitching there. The bag would be consistent with the size of how they, creatures, the bits would be.
And these things, they look like some sort of like Frankenstein monster type.
Yeah.
Right, I think at the very least we should start removing the bodies, because this seems like some sort of ritual. Take them up surface, do a proper burial, or a somewhat formal burial for these poor souls.
But the ground is like 6 feet, and then you're into the cavern.
Yeah, but like further out then, because it was a dome mine, so like if we get further out, it'll be a bit deeper. Anyway, semantics, and then completely...
Remember, you've got the sheriff of this area with you, so if you need local knowledge, he's kind of like up top.
Yeah, and then we just completely annihilate these stitched horrors after we've gotten all the bodies out here. So,
I
plan?
want to grab one of them tongues. Wait for one to win and just grab it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you so Darren, so how are you going to get rid of these bodies? You and your bodyguards carrying them out? Are you going to recruit other people to help you? What are you doing with the gems?
Yeah, so we're going to call maybe some more of the guards down here, and we're going to tie off, possibly, well, if it's a strong rope to carry me, like, I guess we'll tie off 2 corpses at a time and get people to pull them out of the well, and we'll just try and clear out this place.
We should get the sheriff down here to see if he recognises any of them.
Well, he can see them when they get up in the light of day.
Yeah, okay, so you're starting to do that. Ox is kind of like hovering around, getting in the way a little bit.
Yeah,
you're not quite sure. And then a tongue comes out and Ox makes a grab for it. Let's have let's have an attack roll.
Or wait, just a grapple? Or but it wouldn't have a.
Dexterity. Would it be dexterity?
I would think.
Yeah, it's probably actually a sleight of hand roll.
That's I'd say that's the best. Yeah,
12.
because it's not really a grapple.
Yeah.
12. Alright, 2 seconds. So you rolled 13?
12.
12. Okay, no, it darts back in.
Ox will keep trying until he gets.
What's he will do? You're going to try and stop him, Darion?
Well, no, he's gonna be Ox.
Well, this
so-
doesn't.
I'm just gonna be like, make sure it doesn't crawl under your damn skin.
Darren, this doesn't seem natural. Are you sure these are even human?
Doesn't seem natural. You don't say.
They don't entirely seem like undead to me.
Doesn't mean they're human.
Another 20 minutes as people are preparing the bodies to kind of go out. And there are about 50 of them as you kind of count them. Another tongue darts out in front of your Ox.
I hope we've not just unleashed a small horde.
Grab another one.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a dexterity?
Yeah.
Oh! That's a
So-
19.
Oh yeah, grab it. Strength to rip it.
Does anything happen?
You got a tongue in your hand. Do you want to make a strength check to pull it out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
I mean, what? You've come this far. Why else would you?
They're already desecrated. That's a 13.
Yeah, you rip it out. It's blackened, and it's kind of as you pull it out, it seems like it turns to ash at the base rather than kind of blood. And you kind of got it, and it's starting to fork. The tip of it is starting to form a little fork.
Oh, I look like a lizard.
You're anti.
Yeah. I'll show it to Darren about it. Well, this is a normal either.
We waved it in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darren, make a wisdom save not to attach it as armor.
What?
Not to attach it to your armor. Claim it as a totem of victory
That's a trophy.
between your mailed legs.
Imagine our Ox is like, I could put this on a shelf.
In a jar.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's starting to become early evening as you get all of the bodies up. The sheriff is distraught. He recognises the less decomposed ones as being the villagers, and he counts them. He says, yeah, this was the population of the village.
Oh dear. Shall we pocket the opals? The onyxes, sorry.
God damn it, Ox.
What? We could give the sheriff some for.
What are you doing with that tongue, just out of interest?
I put it on the ground and squished it with my.
Okay.
We've seen
Like-
stuff like this
Like
before. in
you would
shows.
like a giant. I just like imagine. It's just to me. It seems like a giant leech. It's something weird. So I'm gonna put it down and just like squish it into the
Yeah.
ground.
Okay. Cool.
If I say Raznisi's name 3 times, he'll appear.
I thought it was 3.5, but yeah, okay, you can try. You haven't seen anything particularly like this in Chult, though the blue triangles was definitely how Raznisi marked the undead. And if you had to call a type of undead, like the more decomposed ones are starting to look more like ghouls.
Right.
Ugh. Sort of in the process of turning, maybe.
I mean, they still might be, which is worrying.
Well, you can all bless them, can't you?
No.
Tie them all up. Burn. We should probably burn them all.
We'll need to get the clergy of Chantier, the sheriff says.
Are you sure these things won't reanimate in that time?
He's not sure about anything. I mean, he skipped Necromancy 101 at the old sheriff college. But he's adamant that, we'll need to get a cleric of Chantier. They need to be given the funereal rites. I'll go. He's like on his horse. My lord, this is my county. I'm responsible for these people. I know where the cleric is. You can see he's like visibly shaken by this.
Are you
Yeah,
actually? Are you burying them now, or are we?
No. Well, he's going to get that cleric, then what I want to do is stone wall, presumably about in this village that we could dismantle.
Oh, what?
How would you
You'll see where I'm going with this. Is there stone walls that we can dismantle in this village?
You're going to pile rocks on them?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not-
So if they do reanimate,
just-
they can't get out.
2 seconds. It's not from the library.
Just
though.
lock 'em in
It's
a
from the
house.
school.
No, there's windows in a house.
Block the window.
a library at school?
No, that's not practical. Let's just
Yeah,
bury
I'm
them.
not having like red X's painted on our door. No, I'm not having that.
We need to go deal with them.
Yeah, is there a... Yeah, we'll do that, but is there a stone wall we can dismantle, or a source of readily available stone?
Yeah, the village.
Okay, so I want to put stones all over these bodies, so if they do reanimate, they can't get back up.
Yeah, okay.
Like, enough stones to weigh them down if they reanimate.
Yeah, okay.
I'll help you out with that then.
That's going to take the rest of the night, more or less.
Good work, everyone. You're doing really well.
I mean, we've got a lot of people. I mean, what, 50 plus? Surely we could cover...
Well, you're gonna have to take the houses down. So you're gonna have
Yeah,
to
we
start
don't
to.
want to destroy the
You're gonna have to start to, destroy the village, or at least one of the houses.
Paul, if I take the black onyxes off the eyes, does the tongue still keep flicking?
I know. As soon as you remove the eyes, then you don't see any more twitching or tongue flicking.
So
Or...
while they're doing that, as they're piling the stones up, I'm going to just plot each onyx.
Oh, I've already taken them hours ago.
I know.
Okay, so as soon as
I've got a nice weighty bag full of jam.
as soon as Ox did that, then there's no movement or any further degradation from the creatures or from the bodies.
That makes me feel better.
Hmm.
I think we should go back
What
down
are you
and-
doing about the 2 immobile figures?
We're gonna
go
attack
down.
them.
Who's we? All 3 of you guys?
Yeah.
Those three?
Yeah.
Every time anyone else?
I'll take...
Oh, you're taking your 2 bodyguards, whether you like it or not.
Oh, can I just take Killeen? Because I like him the
Kaleem's
best.
not here. He didn't accompany you.
This is our numero uno.
He's always with me, though.
No, he's not.
Well, we need to leave some people up here to watch these bodies just in case they're reanimate. We need to leave some capable people up here to deal with
Besmir
that.
is quite happy to stay here.
He can deal with 50 ghouls. He'll be fine.
Was it,
She,
was
she,
it-
it's a she.
That's my wife.
Sorry.
says
Yeah.
that.
Were all 50 incorporated into this ritual, or was it only select?
No, all of them.
All 50.
Oh,
And was there 50 bodies in total then?
Yeah.
Yeah, bugger. Right, let's go back down and deal with these things.
Mm.
So we'll approach them from the side without the bear traps, and
I'm just going to run up to them and just try and take one's head off straight away.
Got one of the. Oh, one of the.
The-
Okay. Make an attack roll. Make it with advantage.
Get enough of my dice then.
also that fire damage is pretty sweet, right?
Ooh. 27.
Hits.
Ooh.
28. Would help if I had my dice prepared. Uh, 19 damage.
Okay.
Cut out. Sorry, cut out.
Yeah. Okay. So you smash into it. You kind of chop quite a chunk of the neck away, but not the entirety, and it remains immobile still.
Can I get rid of my attacks in then?
Yeah.
Keep banging.
Yeah, we'll just dismantle them.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a tree.
So you just got to keep hacking away and hacking away. As you start hacking away at the torso, your body cuts into flesh. Your axe cuts into flesh, but then cuts into something much harder,
Oh.
and you kind of hear this kind of like shattering sound, and it's almost like the interior of the creature was like it had an empty hollow shell, and it and then it kind of comes tumbling down, and there are flakes of black onyx smashed everywhere.
Please don't take that bag of onyx home.
Let's dismantle the other one then.
Yeah, so you do the same, and then the same thing kind of happens. And as Ox kind of looks at his bag of onyx gems, they're all smashed and broken too.
What? Ah. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Oh, I wouldn't have got rid of the enemy if I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
So if those things are both
They're all
crumbled,
connected.
Well, they're not
Can we-
crumbled. They're not like turned to dust. You smash them. Their structural integrity has been kind of destroyed, and then they've fallen down. Like as if they were mannequins, and you hacked away at the frame, and it just fell down.
Should we dismantle them and see if there's anything of interest?
I mean, I'm not digging through that thing. Like Darion's. After it's fallen over in a heap, I'm like, as far as I'm considered.
I'm picking up my
I'm
hunting
done.
traps again and putting them back. I'm gonna dig through them and see if there's anything that's got like a runes on it or anything of. If like there's a bit of onyx that's come off.
No,
does it have any
nothing
runes on it?
particularly like that.
Has the needle been
can you stop
affected by all
the
the
back
shattering?
area of this cavern for like any other entrances?
Oh, Darren's already done that. Darren did that earlier.
Strange. Well, after we do that, can I?
It's
come-
night now, by the way.
Yeah. So do you want to make camp in the village and just make sure these bodies don't react?
Yeah. Should probably find a house, make it into a bit of a safe fort
Yeah.
for the night.
Yeah, barricade it.
You head up there, and Resmi's already done that, and just kind of got a fire going and got food cooking as well. She
Has
anticipates.
anyone seen my wife?
No, they haven't, and they anticipate that the sheriff will be returning with the priest. He said he'd go out, but he wouldn't want to journey back in the night, so he's going to come back, set off daybreak tomorrow.
Well, we should probably camp up in his house then.
Okay. Are you having set and watch?
We've got a lot of people. Can we get can we get 2 NPCs to do it at a time? Do we have enough to
I
do
want
that?
to watch. I think I'd sit outside for quite a considerable amount of time to sit. I'm curious. I just want to sit on the outside of the house just watch.
Yeah, okay.
Normally, I would say I'm, but considering that I've not got my wife by my side, I find it really concerning. So I think I'll probably stay.
Okay, you guys
Yeah.
stay awake and take first watch.
Yeah.
Okay. About what feels like a
I'll
little
take
while.
first and second.
In the first watch, Tef kind of comes back towards you. She's got blood just on the muzzle, on her face, just there, and a couple of rabbit pelts that she's got. She looks at you. Death, Diego. It smelled of death. It brought back the memories of that time in Chor, in that place, in the city of Omu. Can you remember when I got into that chamber and into that box and I thought it was going to be the end.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst.
Zoot climbed down.
So that was one.
Yes, it is a bittersweet memory. And she kind of like,
We have a moment. There's tears, mostly
Yeah.
Diego's.
yeah, and then I need sleep.
And at that, I'll join it.
Yep, okay. Ox, you've been gazumped.
Fine, I'm staying on watch.
Yeah, okay. None of the stones move. None of the watches are eventful at all, and the day dawns anew. And you hear some bird song, not a lot, but it enough to raise your spirits, enough to remind you of the world outside of the village. As you're making breakfast and kind of getting yourselves ready, morning routine, the sheriff rides back with a troop of militia, I guess, not especially well armed or equipped, from a neighbouring village, and there's a couple of very humbly dressed figures with them, an oldish man and a fairly young lady. They're wearing the robes of Chantier. You see them in their autumn robes, and there's also a cleric of what you think is Maleki. There's a white unicorn on her breast, and she's wearing green, dyed green leather armour with kind of white flecks on it. And they kind of come in.
Maleki.
Yes, the goddess of rangers in the forest.
Couldn't get anyone of. Is it Kilmvor? Is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or is this like Dial
But in
But in
Priest?
this county, unfortunately.
Kellenville's not an especially popular deity, certainly not out in the cities. The funereal rites are primarily managed by Chantier, and it's seen as part of the natural cycle rather than anything else.
Clerics and paladins of Kalimdor are dicks. I don't believe in resurrection.
The sheriff points to the mound of stone, and the clerics head off there. The militia kind of come and pay a bit of fealty to you, Diego, and then sort of like mill, slightly not quite sure what they're supposed to do, in all fairness, off to one side.
You wouldn't, would you?
And yeah, they're all like, we kind of came because we were kind of like, yeah. So has anybody got any dice? One of them starts a role-playing game. They're streaming. And
I passed them off to Darion.
yeah, the lady in the leather armour, the similar Maleki, greets you, my lord, Count. I'm one of the woodland rangers in this part of the county. I work in quite close proximity with the sheriff, and mostly we look after the woodland, ensure that it's well managed. Keep an eye out on our people out in there.
Is this ranger human or elven?
Human. She has a position of semi-authority. Of course, she's human.
It's good to see. I say it's good to see a ranger. I've not seen her in time.
She's got like a little pin with Adran's, Adran's tours, and she's got she's underneath her armor. She's wearing Adran Con, like T-shirt where she went to.
Dragon Con.
The prince
Fake
formerly known as
pointy
Adran.
ears.
Yeah,
Fake pointy ears.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. I heard what happened to the village. I was with my Chantian brethren when the sheriff arrived. I wanted to see if there was anything that could be done. If the brigands attacked, they must have left. Have you found any tracks around? Anything leaving here that we may be able to find a trail so we can bring them to justice for this horrendous crime?
I did find some tracks, but I weren't
Please show me.
particularly.
And she takes a pace back. I didn't realise quite how big the Dragonborn were.
I'll take her to where we found them tracks before. That we
Yep.
searched last
Okay.
time.
And she starts busying herself and kind of looking down there and kind of, these are old. I will do my best. And she kind of starts to have a look around, doing rangery things, checking the angle of the sun. Pulls out a rabbit tracks book. No, not one of them. Not one of them. Not one of them. Not one of them. that kind of thing. What are the rest of you guys? What are you guys doing?
Birdsong.
So it reminds. So you also know that there were at least 2 other villages hit within Terthea, and 1 village in Kalim Sham.
Yes, this should probably be documented and reported.
Oh, we should ask if anything was found at them. Does the sheriff know? Or do these clerics, the rangers, know?
The people were taken. We just assumed that they were kidnapped or killed or what have you.
I think we're missing something somewhere in this video. We need to have a more thorough search.
This isn't, you know, Brigands.
There's something
stuff.
evil. There's some evil magic at foot here, so we should probably search the houses, search the chapel. You know, any books on necromancy or anything we can find. That's
But you
Wow.
suspect one of the villagers.
it could be unwittingly unleashed something, or the bandits could have, you know, kind of infiltrated and done something.
Redsmere says, "What are those blue
Bandits,
triangles?
though.
What are those blue triangles on their heads? They all had them." And the sheriff tells me that this wasn't a symbol that the villagers wore normally.
It's a Chultan symbol. We've seen this symbol in Chult, Rajnasida, Lant. We've used this symbol to mark undead before.
Their tongues were black and snake-like.
They're ghouls, she says. I've fought their kind many times before. They were becoming ghouls. I've never seen it happen like this. Normally, ghouls kill and other ghouls rise.
And
Have you
bandits.
ever killed a white with a non-magical weapon?
Are you some kind of hobbit?
No, I'm just that good.
So who's the most official-looking person there? Would it be the sheriff?
Well, the most official-looking person there is
Most official-looking.
between. It's probably you or Diego. Diego's the count, and you're the direct legal representative of the Queen. So I think you're probably in combination.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna. Alright, seeing as I'm good chums with the Queen, I think we can all say, right?
Yeah. Let's say that. Darion is good chums for the Queen.
Yeah. I'll kind of me and my guards will is it the clerics that are dealing with the bodies and the funeral rites and stuff.
That's right. Yes, they're assessing the situation as we speak.
So we'll like move kind of about them just to make sure that nothing strikes out of them, and then after that, I'm going to write up a report to be sent to the Queen.
Okay.
Do I have a signet ring for being the Hawk of Alamander now?
No, you have a brooch.
There's a brooch on it.
Right. So nothing to press into a wax seal.
No.
Yeah, you could press that into wax, couldn't you? I don't know.
Glue yourself to the paper. He tries to do it. It sticks. You can tell
It's
this
just
is
like no, it's more like a, it's just like gauntlet and ink.
Use your shield. It's just a wax thing about this big.
yeah.
I'm gonna go house to house and just search more thoroughly. I think.
Okay.
Enlist a few more people to just see if there's anything amiss.
Make an investigation roll.
15.
You don't find anything amiss, but the houses have been very thoroughly looted.
So the bandits could just be.
In the aftermath, when they
Yeah,
realised
they
it's
could have
all
been.
there.
They could have been tipped off that there's no one there, but then they would have taken everything from the.
Well, the grain and food was gone,
Mm-hmm.
and it is getting close to winter, so that might be the first priority.
Yeah, a large group of
Yeah, well,
bandits.
you can only carry so much, so maybe they just had to prioritize.
Good read.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so what you send? So you're writing the report, Darion.
Mm.
Okay. Are you going to do anything about the other towns or tell the Kalashites? Is there any intentions there? You know that there's a border
yeah.
base not that far away.
I feel like because this is in our side of the border, cannon shots won't give a damn.
But you know that one of their villages was attacked by the Brigands. So if this was the work of the Brigands, then potentially it could have happened to the other villages in Terthea, not in your county, but in Terthea, and potentially to the Kalashite village.
We should probably warn them.
So I'm writing out multiple copies of this, and the best one's going to the Queen.
Okay. So the one that you managed to spell your name right in goes to the Queen.
How far is the other nearest? Is there any more villages on our side of the board?
Not within the county, but within Terthea. So it's a strip about 5 days from from the most westerly village through to the most easterly village, with this one being the middle one. There were rumours that they attacked villages in the Protectorate of Mintar as well, but the Queen thought that was a red herring. Her go-to kind of bad guy is the Protectorate of Mintar sponsoring this. So what she told Darion. This is non-alcoholic, by the way, just in case anybody's
It's
actually
nice,
interested.
This is very alcoholic, by the way.
Get jealous. Yeah, so what's Diego doing during all this shenanigans? Is he also checking houses or what?
He's checking mouses. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it?
My concern is that it's not so much the brigands, it's more the undead, which I'm sure Darion is thinking about. Well,
They're connected somehow. I don't know how.
The Maleki Ranger, the Ranger of the Woodlands, comes back. The trail does lead into the forest, my lord, but it splits, and they have headed through the forest. I'll try to push the trail, but I am wary. There is a small community of forest gnomes that live within this part of the Forest of Mir that I have a relationship with. So I'm going to head there first and see if they have any information on where the Brigands may be based. If they are pretty well hidden, so I'd imagine the Brigands don't know of them, and I'll bring word back. Where should I return, my lord?
that is good news.
How long is their travel going to be, do you think?
Yeah, how long will your travel be?
I would imagine it to be no more than 3 days.
Quite a long time.
There are
How far
lab.
away from the nearest,
Sorry.
how far away from the nearest other settlement that's not been destroyed?
Oh, you're not very far from like the village that the sheriff went to get the militia and to get the chantier. And that was like he left in the afternoon and then was back about an hour or so. An hour or so after daybreak. So not very far at all. You're a couple of days from Saradush, and you're about 3 or 4 days from Green Nest.
Well, this will take us 3 days to do, 3 days to get back. So
It's a 3 day there and back.
Right.
there and back.
So time to get there, time to kind of like establish a relationship, have a chat. One does not simply walk into Mordor, and also one does not simply walk into a forest gnome haven, ask a load of questions, then leave. I will need to undertake something of value to them to maintain the relationship and so on.
Okay, so we'll meet back in the village, or the village that's got people alive in it.
I like that. I'd like to
send out these couriers.
tea.
And
sort of
Darion's
stuff
paranoid,
there
he's
too.
sending 2 letters to everyone.
Okay.
I like that.
Staggered time intervals, obviously.
How are you sending these?
I'm assuming I can hire some
Couriers.
Well, so we'll go to the next village and we'll stay there for 3 days. Or do you want to go to the village, get supplies, and come back and camp here still?
I think we could camp at the village.
The one we're in now? Or
No, the one slightly further afield.
The one that's inhabited.
Yeah. Because I think it's important to make our presence known, but not an aggressive. It's just that.
There's not many of us.
Well, there's a good like militia of us.
Yeah, but everyone.
Like all of us in total.
At this
Do you want to
point,
station
probably
some
just
people
over
here for now?
20 years.
Yeah, there's about 20 of which half is from the village anyway.
Yeah.
And you imagine that what's happened is, or the sheriff will tell you, I roused the militia. They need to be getting back to their farms to bring the harvest in. The more that we keep them away, the more impact in the winter their families will be. I want to release them. If I can bring foodstuffs and supplies to you, if you wish to stay here, you can come back. There's not a place that would be worthy of the count to stay at, but you would do honour to the village.
They might be a bit worried about what's going on as well if they know something's happening in this village. Our presence might be help them, might put them at their minds at ease a little bit extra secure for a couple of days.
Okay, you head over to the village. It's very similar to that one, to Marion. Similar setup, similar kinds of people. There's nowhere, you're basically checking a family out to stay. They go into their relatives and to their friends. They get displaced down. They wait upon you. There's a lot of very wary individuals, particularly of Ox and the other Dragonborn. And there's a lot of chatter and such like. But as you get proven to be kind of basically all right individuals, not putting on airs and graces and such like, then certainly to the humans the village warms a little bit more, but it's always very distant, very wary, and it's even more so to the Dragonborn.
Jobs or anything that needs fixing that's not been attained? Because I'm thinking like the Dragonborn, or maybe just Ox, could.
Do you know? We're just assuming this place is safe. Can we check this place for corruption? I mean, it's only like a day away. It's already underway.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of corruption. The local knitting circle in particular is just rife. And if you want to have, I'm saying I wouldn't play poker with Big Joe because the guy cheats. Let's face it.
Darion is at least digging a hole.
Darion digs a hole.
And does not burst through into an undead room underneath.
All the villagers are gathered around like, what is he doing? I'm just like, he's digging your graves. Just to scare them off.
Are you doing that? Ox?
It's scary.
Just that one guy that pissed you off at the bar.
Yeah.
Just the one guy.
There are very many jobs that never quite get done.
Is there a...
If there were many jobs that never quite get done, then Ox, can you get your Dragonborn companions on those jobs to help?
If it's heavy lifting and building, yes. If it's
soften the opinion of the Dragonborn.
Yeah. Right. So it's
I
Ox.
smile at Ox. And I'm just like, he's very good at telling other people to get stuff done, isn't he?
Yeah. If it's like heavy lifting building work, cutting wood, that kind of thing, yeah, they probably can. But if it's like sewing patches onto like people's holy clothes that haven't been done or doing with local laundry, they're probably not going to be very good at it.
Well, that's their own problem. That's they can deal with that.
The bigger so yeah, it's more construction work and tidying this and painting that and getting it ready for the winter. And the men folk are out gathering the harvest or burning the charcoal or what have you. The biggest problem is that as soon as Ox picks up a hammer, ostensibly to start to build, his natural instincts kick in and he just pushes down a wall. he can't help himself. It's like building. What is this building of which you speak?
I'm very good at deconstruction.
Yeah.
Okay, but you kind of you did yours. Are you doing anything, Diego? Or you just lording it over?
I'm basically ordering.
Do this, do that.
Someone should go around
and do this.
Okay.
Someone should maybe go around with a sheriff and question people. Not question, just like ask them if they've spotted anything unusual. Or
So does Diego
Darion, go around with the sheriff.
Yeah.
So does Diego spend his whole day doing an aid action? Is that?
Another.
Micromanage.
The Tetherians actually really welcome that. In their view of the royalty is there to command and to lead and to do that. And if the nobles start to kind of interfere with the lower orders' work, it would be like taking their jobs away from them. So they don't really have a massive problem with that. And again, there's this massive reflected glory in the Count of Surkazar. The Count himself being in their village. This is something that will be told through generations, assuming we don't turn into undead evil ghouls in the next 20 minutes. And there's nothing particularly. They all live in fear of brigand attacks. That's not unusual. These are much more ferocious than they had experienced before. And the usual method is that you ring the bell, and the other villagers around will come to your aid. But the bell wasn't rang.
Oh.
Can we set up a few patrols in defence of any brigand, or in the
I mean, it's not really cracked.
in the light of what's recently happened?
The sheriffs, we can, my lord, but there are two challenges. We aren't especially equipped in that way, and the men are needed for the harvest.
Don't worry about your men. Ox?
Yeah, for the next 3 days we can patrol.
But okay, so you're either patrolling or you're doing work around the village. Which one?
Yeah.
Darion is looking very suspiciously at everything and taking dog after he's finished writing his letters.
Mm-hmm.
Right, then we don't tell them about the brigand attacks. I'd rather get the work done first.
Yeah, we'll be busy doing the work.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Keep it up.
And I'll ask you again: are you going to dispatch any kind of information down to the Canaanites to tell them about their village?
Me, yeah.
Okay,
So I'm
cool.
sending out two letters to everyone at staggered intervals, if that's.
Yeah. And who's sending? Who's taking these?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. They don't have messenger hawks, do they? Or do they?
No, they had messenger pigeons, but they got ate by the messenger hawks.
Yeah, is it just done by courier on horseback then?
They have never really had need to send messages to anyone.
Oh Jesus! No wonder they all got slaughtered.
Oh well, there they come in. What? You don't have a communications infrastructure? You deserve to die.
Yeah. That'll be awkward then, isn't it?
Just pay someone well to do it, or someone who's travelled there before. Maybe someone has been before to sell goods.
One of the options is send one of your bodyguards and just have one bodyguard left.
No, because they will be murdered by brigands.
They might not.
They will be. I mean, I think I found their stat block, but I don't think they're taking on like 7 brigands at once. That would definitely annihilate them. Darion is going to send one of his men to. How far away are we from the capital? And then we can get someone to disperse them from there.
A couple of days from the capital, from Saradush. You're probably closer to the castle of Surkazar.
Would they have a courier network?
Yeah, very much the order of Gauntlet. Yep.
Then I will send 3. How many men did I bring? Probably about like 4.
No, you brought 2. You got 2.
You can take one of the Dragonborn.
Yeah, can I send 2 of them and one of the Dragonborn?
You can't send both your bodyguards.
Why?
Because one of them will always remain with you.
Send one bodyguard and one Dragonborn. Send.
Why do they disobey me? I am their superior.
No, you're not. They're superior as the Order of the Gauntlet.
In the Order of the Gauntlet.
No, but you don't outrank the guy who gave them their orders.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the Killing's mother, and she's the same rank. Oh, she's the
No,
same.
They're here to babysit you.
She found them and she introduced them. They follow orders straight from the top. And they have explicit orders to ignore any orders to go away from the people that are supposed to bodyguard.
Well, they've already failed because most of them aren't here.
Mm-hmm.
Send one and I'll send one of the Dragonborn guys with him.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. With multiple copies of the letter, so that they can be dispersed once they hit the castle.
Yep, okay. Okay, and off they trundle. Okay, so you're staying here for a few days, and then you're waiting for the
Ranger.
the ranger to come
Ranger.
back. Okay, cool. She returns, and she says that the brigands did travel through the forest, and it has stirred up a number of the monsters within the forest, and she thinks that the brigands are based in a small hill system within the forest, but she's not entirely sure. She can scout out there to see if she can find activity and confirmation of that.
Any evidence of necromancy? And why would monsters be affected by the passage of brigands?
If the brigands are taking their food, or if it was a lair that was previously inhabited by the monsters, then they would have been displaced out.
Do you know what monsters would be native to that region?
Owlbears,
Forest?
I was going to say owlbear.
tigers, oh my, spiders.
Hmm.
Okay.
Any snakes?
Yeah, I was going to say snake.
More snakes than the eye can see.
How far
Red
is...
cap mushrooms.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Any red cap mushrooms?
No.
Sorry. Oxford.
How far is this hill system? How long would it take to scout out and return?
I'll be about 5 days.
Oh.
Possibly
What do you
longer,
want
depending
us to
upon
do?
how long it takes me to establish information.
Should we go with?
I think we still...
Could we,
You do need to be getting back for your entry to Saradush.
I'm thinking that.
oh, jeez, yeah, I do have that.
Should we go straight to this hill system and then... Or not, or should we... I don't know.
The nobles are going to be pissed off, but the safety of our county is
all that money's going to go to waste, though, because, like, you know, it's not stuff that can just you can put on pause. I mean,
No.
like, there's going to be resources used, foods, celebratory.
Yeah, but Darion would care more about the safety of the villagers than money.
Well, Darion
I
also
know,
needs to
I'm
take up
perfectly-
his place in Castle Surkazar at some point.
Mm.
And Ox,
Yeah,
you
but
need
that-
to be leading your function, your kind
Yeah.
of people there as well.
Well, it's our entrance, so we're going to be arriving at the capital, aren't we?
Saradush, yes.
So why don't we just arrive there and then requisition the proper force, or at least try to requisition the proper forces from the Queen to investigate / deal with this issue, and we can actually have a proper in-depth conversation with her about the situation at the same time.
Ox, how would your
after
black
arrival.
woman friend, companion,
Resme.
person?
Definitely not sleeping with them. Why are you saying?
Yeah, definitely not sleeping with a girl that is a friend. Feel about taking a small platoon to investigate within the forest.
I'm not comfortable sending a small platoon to an entire
Oh,
den
what
of
else?
brigands
A platoon.
And monsters. Don't forget the monsters.
and monsters. Would it be worthwhile getting word back from these other villages first?
Well, do you know what? Right. After they're located, I'll be nearby because Castle Surkazar is actually nearby. So do you want me to invest in dealing with this after they've been located and we've had our entrance to
Well,
the?
we are much further south of the county
You're on the very south of the county,
And
yeah.
you think Alcazar is like right up here. Saradush is like there.
So I think you're like there.
Yeah.
Alcazar is like there. Saradush is like there.
Yeah, so I'll be nearby when I take up.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we could either go now, flush it out, or but then we'd have to take on an entire troop of brigands, possibly on our own.
And also, you get these. This is the reason why putting troops into the field is difficult. The logistic chain of being feeding them and such. Like if these are hauled into something that you need to siege, you don't know how long you have to siege it for. You know what the situation is. So information is quite
If
important.
this is a hideout, they will come here frequently.
Well, they're not going to be out of it much in the winter, considering all the supplies they took. Surely, I mean, it's going to be their base of operations for foreseeable months. You would think.
Yeah.
Who have you sent a letter to regarding?
I've sent it to across the border. I've sent it to, I guess, the highest standing member of the local villages to be on the lookout for suspicious
That's a sheriff.
activity
That's a sheriff.
regarding-
Can you send one to
Yeah,
me
the
just
sheriff
to
would
like
be
cover
placed
all
there.
bases?
You were there.
Well, I know I was there, but I still like the formal.
So Diego's basically asked you to send. Can you just send that by email?
Yeah.
Well, let's gather information. Let's have the place scouted out. Let's gather some information.
Is there enough time? I think we have to leave like pretty much
Yeah,
within the
and
coming
then
days to.
We could send some of my troops. Perhaps the Queen will lend us. Well, I'll send some of the Surkazar troops, should it be necessary, to deal with this. And perhaps across the border they want to get involved.
Yeah, and also remember
No,
that you've got lined up one of the brigand troop that the Kalashite captured to potentially
Yeah, we got
interrogate
him
as well.
Let's head back to the capital. Explain, maybe requisition some forces. I'll take out my position in the castle, and we'll take it from there. Yeah, after all the
And we
information
can sort out this
gathered by this
Saradush.
ranger.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's deal with the entry to Saradush first. So here we are. Okay.
There's nothing suspicious in that village that we just left. Then
There's masses and masses of things suspicious. Starting with, why have they all got 3 arms? But
they've all
other than
got
that-
green triangles on their.
Yeah, they're the green triangleists. It was a green versus blue
They all do this
triangle
sim-
off. They all go like this,
I feel better if they were black triangles.
but they use the wrong hand.
Yeah.
So you kind of who's going in the entry to Saradush? I think all 3 of you were going, weren't you? I think that was the plan.
I think we all need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. The Podesta, Vasco Gilmones is
I hate that guy.
is ready and waiting, and he explains.
Chubby guy.
Yeah, he explains kind of like the plans. Gerald, blah, 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 blah. Chancellor Praxin is kind of like just gets to the village, just gets to the village as you leave. So,
Really pleased to see Praxin, but the other firm like, let's just go. So I have a look at you.
yeah, okay, and you get ready for the entry into Saradush. Now, one of the key themes of the negotiations was that the rural and the rural people think that the urban people are favoured, and that all the money gets spent in the cities. And as you kind of near Saradush, it certainly doesn't show that money at all. The walls that surround the city are pretty much run down. You suspect one thunder wave and the whole lot would tumble.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of stone that's missing. Similar to what you did in the village, the stone's kind of almost looks like it's been reharvested, and the walls have been picked away at as you kind of enter close to that. And as you're kind of riding in, there are a great number of people gathered along from the main east gate out into the centre of Saradush. And they're kind of not really cheering. There's a few that are kind of like cheering and waving, but that's not the majority. Most of them are kind of like looking and whispering, and it's almost kind of like people who are just stopping on their day, like turning and looking as you're going past, giving it a bit of a half-assed, yeah, go the count, go the champions of short, and then getting on with the rest of the day. You've got, you've dressed in your finery, you're dressed all pretty well, and there's people that are kind of handing out bread and such like as you kind of go past. And there's dancers ahead of you, and there's some of the military behind you. So it looks like quite a good procession. But there's an almost level of disinterest here. The city's riddled with potholes. The roads are not in great repair, and there's a lot of ruined plots that are starting to get overgrown, and it looks like if say the city could house 50,000 people, maybe it houses 20,000. So there's a lot of derelict buildings, and there's a lot of people that are kind of clustered around certain areas. There's gardens that are kind of starting to spread over the walls as you're kind of going, and the royal quarter as you arrive at is similarly run down. This is an interior wall, and there's a castle, definitely not a palace or a villa like you've been used to in Waterdeep. This is a proper bona fide castle set in there with a lot of other buildings. Tef is not at all impressed. She started out this journey being your account, this is magnificent, and now she's like, I wouldn't shit in this place. Chancellor Praxton has told you that there are substantial royal archives.
Wherever you are shitting, can you show me where that is so I can shit there?
There's substantial royal archives that are kept in vaults and rooms and towers of the royal castle. And each month, bundles of royal court papers arrive that require record legal judgments within Tethia and so on. As you kind of come towards the royal quarter, there is a large, maybe 8-foot by 8-foot box in the centre of the main square. It's graffitied along the side, and it just sits there, and it's very, very, very strange in terms of what it is. And there are indeed.
What is that?
Oh, he leans forward, making an insight check.
Don't lie to me, Praxton. I like you, but I don't like it when you lie.
My lord.
Investigation, was that?
Insight.
Oh, insight. That is a 18.
Yeah, he's uncomfortable with what he's got to tell. Do you know when you ask somebody a question and they're kind of like, I was hoping you wouldn't fucking ask.
Yeah.
Danilo is conspicuous by his absence, by the way. You're not quite sure exactly where he is, but he's not here.
In the cupboard, isn't he?
He's actually right behind you the whole time. You just don't.
This is actually skin changed inside you. My lord, that's what we call the shame of Surkazar. The city council maintain it to remind us of decisions made in the past. And he clearly wants the conversation to finish.
What?
What decisions?
The decisions.
I'm like, what decisions?
Decisions that were made by Danilo of Waterdeep.
And Diego is silent.
What decisions? WTF has Danilo done?
Is this a war memorial for everyone who died during Danilo?
You can't tell because it's all boarded up.
Oh god, it's going to be statue of Danilo. I turn to Darion and go, oh my god, it's a statue of Danilo.
Or it used to be a statue of Danilo, and I'm looking for cut-off feet stumps sitting on top of the big square.
Yeah.
Like
No,
the full
it's just yeah.
dictator statue.
So this is just a big box. Whatever, if there is a statue, it could be within the box, but
Oh.
you can't see anything else. It's just a big, essentially a wooden crate in the center of the square. So
Like, if it just on the off chance, if it is a statue,
Can Ox break
is
it?
there anyone that we can just like chip away all the
so you're in a possession, remember? And you've come into the centre square. There's loads of people milling around and about, and in the centre, rather like you would expect there to be a statue in the centre of a big public square, like Trafalgar Square style. And there's just a big, like wooden crate in the centre, which is about 8 foot tall by about 8 foot wide by about 8 foot long, obscuring whatever it contains. And when you asked Praxin, he said he called it the shame of Surkazar, and the city insist on maintaining it to remind of decisions made in the past by Danilo of Waterdeep.
But by maintain, they've just boxed it up. That's a bit weird.
We're gonna have to a look at some point.
Yeah.
So we're saying this all last man. It's like we're gonna have to have a look at some point.
Or just ask him to explain exactly what it is. Order him to explain exactly what it is.
not right now, but that is something
Okay.
we'll be doing right after we finish.
You are greeted by the Podesta and 5 of the Council of 7. So there is one member of the Council of 7 that isn't there, and they're dressed in finery that puts the infrastructure, the poor infrastructure of the city to shame. These are very affluent, rich individuals that are greeting you there. Either that, or they've gone down to the rich individual shop and bought or hired a load of stuff in.
Rented.
None of the other nobles that you've been briefed upon are present at all.
Darion could not get
Why are they not here?
Snubbed you.
Praxin kind of, I do not know, my lord. They were informed. They've clearly chosen. It'll be a form of snub.
What's the relationship between the nobles and the previous count?
None of the nobles are fans of the count. They consider themselves to be powers in their own right. They don't like. They don't like to have to answer. Of course, we could adopt policies that will put us in favour of the nobility of Surkazar.
Such as?
Favouring their rights over their tenants, increasing their tax powers, removing taxes that get placed upon them and dropping them down to the middle classes and to the lower classes.
Oh, I'm not having that at all.
And you're shown into the castle and onwards through there. There's massive kind of feast that's been put on and all this kind of finery for when you arrive. But the castle is pretty run down, drafty, cold. The fact that you have a cracked chamber pot is not unusual in this place.
This all leaves a very bitter taste in Diego's. Growing up, he's fairly used to finery, but this. And
You're probably used to toilets, considering you lived in water.
well, there is that. But
This place is great. Walls, a roof. What more can you want?
this place is run down. There's something very sour about all this. I feel like Diego's not having a great time at all.
No, and that kind of continues through into a lukewarm feel to the reception. And there's definitely a foul taste. As you make your way to the county suite, so the suite that's set aside for the count and the countess, and you're kind of sitting down maybe on the edge of your bed, kind of thinking this should have been the proudest, the proud day. Danilo says from a corner of the room, and this is why we need to sort the finances of the county out fairly quickly.
My first thought is, how the fuck did you get here?
He takes a pace forward. You see him sheath his obsidian
Out the shadow.
obsidian blades. Yeah. So the business of the county should start soon. We need to be taking some decisions about what our priorities are. I'll convene the inner council to start discussions, and we'll make some recommendations to you.
Before you go, Uncle,
You look into his deep black eyes.
and I'm not put off at all as I say this. I look directly into his black eyes.
Make a will save.
There was something in the city, something in the middle, in the centre of the city. What was it?
The thing in that crate?
They called it the
Shame.
shame of Surkazar.
Yes.
What did you do?
I defended their border and I toppled the Bayonites.
I myself would be pleased by that, but clearly no one else is.
Yes, which is why I think it would be a sensible early decision of yours for it to be removed.
I don't know what I'm removing yet. What is it?
Go and have a look. And when you see it, think on it.
Perhaps I will, but maybe at a later date. And he's not invited.
I think...
I mean, he'll probably invite himself.
I think, my Lord Count, you need to be quick, because one of your early decisions will be to remove that.
Let's go see it.
Ooh.
I make all my decisions in my own signature.
Oh, I'm pretty sure
There's
he
only
could
forgeries.
just...
Just
Who to go to?
animated hand is a spell, he said. Noted. Nephew.
You couldn't have gone to see it. I really want to see
Noted.
what
I want to
it
go
is.
see what it is.
He leaves. Through the main door.
Yeah.
Diego, we
Before you
must go
go,
see what it is.
Uncle,
He stops, turns back.
as my uncle, I love you. Please don't cause any kind of family feud. I would hate for this to ripple through our family.
It would be a shame, wouldn't it?
It would. I never break eye contact at all.
Okay. Make a will save.
Wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom.
Yeah, wisdom saving throw.
Oh
Who blinks first?
no!
Oh, did Diego blink first?
3!
All the childhood fears come racing from the pit of your stomach, kind of like through your body, and you start to shake.
How well can I keep my poker face?
You can't at all. You've got the frightened condition. You start to back
Shit.
away from him. I remember, nephew. And then he steps away and leaves.
We have
You're
to
like
see what
cowered
the
in the
next
corner. You cannot stop yourself from kind of like backing away from him.
We've doomed this place by bringing him in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already trying to think up a diagram of all potential enemies, and it's getting pretty big as I go through it in my head.
What you're doing as he leaves, it kind of like passes a little bit, and you curse yourself for kind of like, you know, the cowardice.
Showing my face.
Tef comes in, sees you, races over. What's up? You're kind of like covered in a sheen of sweat.
I feel I've made a poor decision.
Why? What happened? How could it be any more poor than the other decisions you make?
Yes, love.
This is what wives are here for. Point out the bleeding obvious in a slightly sarcastic, superior way.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I'm worried by my own family. I do not know what actions to take.
What is it that ails you?
My uncle Danilo, he has many secrets, and I know he's always. I fear for the county, and I fear for himself. He's a powerful man. Much more tricksome than anyone I've ever met.
Then let us do as the tiger does. Let us stalk until the moment is right, and then jump with all the force and energy that we can bring to bear. See if you can survive the same pounce. But until then, let us pick the creatures and the food that we wish to take down. It's been a sad day and we are in a sad place. But it is where we are.
hopes are that we can make this place a happier place.
If there's one thing that Danilo needs, it is to bring monies to himself to achieve whatever goals he has. And in doing so, he'll bring monies to you.
But that makes him no better than any other nobility who have for like quite is they just they put coffers into their own pocket and never give back.
It is the nature of the world, dear Diego, that the strong feast upon the weak. But sometimes,
But
Kaling,
this is my county, and I am not weak.
then we need to bide our time until such a point that our pounce will take him down. But let me
The love in Diego's eyes right now.
relieve you of your strain and your breeches. And that's face back.
Yeah.
Okay. Do any of you want to? I mean, Ox and Darion, you've kind of like Ox. You've been drinking the night away. Ox leant on one of the castle walls, and that's another 1,000 gold repair needed. And Darion's surprising everybody with his singing capability. Is there anything that you guys want to do, or shall we crack on a little?
Does curiosity get Ox? Can't even speak. Is Ox curious enough to go and see the hidden statue, or even if it is the statue, who knows?
Is
Would
Darion
Ox go without-
asking? Yeah, would Ox go with him? Is that what Darion is asking?
Would Ox go with his best buddies, or would he go alone?
They go. If Darion's like, let's go look at this crap, Ox would be like, yeah, sure.
I mean, he'd wait for you to instigate it, I think.
Is it just like a look? That's all it takes.
Yeah, well, we're both so it gets to a point in the night where like
There's like a look and a silent nod, and they both go leave.
well, yeah, no. So it gets to the point where we're both like kind of awkwardly thinking, and we're like, do you remember that thing in the city square?
Is it something we need to take Diego from?
This sounds like something from a wrong.
Oh, is Colleen made his way here?
Yeah, Kaline's here.
Oh, I miss Colleen. I've gotten used to him being around.
Yeah.
Invading my personal space.
Yeah. Tasting all your food. He insists on the first kiss. It's very strange.
Yeah, so after Ox had a few drinks and there's been a bit of rivalry and things started to wind down in a bit, we're like, do you remember that
Yeah,
thing.
let's go look at the crate.
Let's go look at that crate.
Okay, you head out of the city, kind of over into the center. Make me perception rolls, both of you.
I am not there at this point.
Oh!
Oh
Oh, nat 20.
Not 20.
As you
no!
walk out.
One.
Okay, cool. As you.
You got one, I got a 20.
So what's that? An average of 10? Ox, you walk out with Darion, and as you're walking along, you see a load of a really thick, dense patch of what look to be quite small mushrooms, red caps with white flecks in them, and you don't know that you noticed them before. They're kind of like gathered on the edge of where the royal quarter meets the main square, kind of just quite dense underneath one of the bushes. You don't know if they were there before, if you just didn't catch your eye before, but you've clocked them now. Darren, you haven't.
I just stopped dead.
Ox has died. He just down. You don't know. Maybe it's a heart attack. Maybe he's making death saves.
Stop Darion.
Darion just walks underneath your arm.
Put my arm out and stop Darion.
Clothesline. And I'll point over to him. They look like. Do they remind you of anything, Darion?
They look exactly like those red cap mushrooms in the Feywild. Darren looks around. I'm looking around for anything else that's from the Feywild.
There is nothing else from the Feywild that you can see.
Then I'm going to march up with Ox, and we're going to curb stomp these mushrooms.
Well, let's look at them before we kick them.
Mushrooms.
Yeah. They're just mushrooms.
Yeah.
They're curb stomp.
Okay, so you smash them. You do them all in. Okay, cool. Fair enough. And then
Some little old lady comes out and nearby cottage. She's like, "No, my mushrooms!"
Yeah, and then you head over to the crate. Oh, yeah. So it is essentially kind of like wooden boarded up.
Is there any gaps we can see through?
No, not really.
Is it exposed all the way around, or if we were to be behind it, would it?
No. It's all boarded up. It's all boarded up. I mean, you can rip them off.
Around it. Is it in the middle of the square?
Yeah, it's in the middle of the square. Middle of the square.
Oh, okay.
It's late at night though. There aren't very many people around and about. Saradush and like Waterdeep is not lit. So when it gets dark, it gets dark.
Okay. Should we peel off a plank off the back and you can squeeze in and
A single plank. Is there any way we could? I mean, we're going to break something. But is there any way we could break it less and then kind of push things back into place?
Yeah, step one: don't go with Ox.
Yeah.
Could I just lift it carefully from the corner?
Yeah. You can probably lift it to like there before it starts to become a bit unwieldy. It starts to catch on something underneath as you move the angle.
Is there enough space for me to walk in and have a look?
Yeah. Or you can kind of get down, and the moonlight kind of it's dim, and it takes a little while for your eyes to adjust and such like. But there is definitely a statue. It's an equine statue, so it's a man on a horse, and he's wearing full plate armor.
Good job.
You see kind of like a little plaque, and the plaque reads. No, the plaque reads. It's just sat there with the book. Really good book.
Just says, "I will fucking kill you."
The black traitor has been scratched across it, and as you kind of like look a little bit more closely, you see underneath those scratches that it says Danilo of Waterdeep.
Oh, I knew it.
He wears plate, huh?
It's wearing full plate armor, and he's astride what looks to be quite a powerful mount.
You think we would have taken it down by? It's just a statue of Danola.
Knew it.
I was hoping for a more vibrant set piece, like perhaps multiple statues. I don't know what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Darion will go back then.
Okay.
Is there any similarities between like Diego and Danilo? Like
Uncle
young Danilo,
nephew.
Yeah, I know, but like, is this wearing a helmet?
Yeah, it's wearing a
The
helmet.
Like, he's actually my father.
No, I'm implying that. I'm applying from a perspective of someone just like glancing at that and glancing at it, notice maybe some similarities.
No, it's not. It's not
Because
like
when
a
we did the
face.
flashback, my mother, Diego's mother, was terrified.
Yeah, think
No, I
on
don't
that.
mean it's your father. I don't think there would be any.
No, there's no. It's not. There's no features. The only way in which you know it's Danilo is because his name is attached to it, Danilo of Waterdeep.
Okay.
And the face looks like his.
No, there's no face. It's a closed face helmet. So full plate, as in like the full
Yeah,
um,
helmet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, Diego isn't gonna like this.
it's made of black, by the way. It's made of some black metal or cast metal.
Not a familiar black substance that we've been dealing with recently.
No, it's not
Is it?
onyx gem. It's not. No. And then you guys do him a disservice. You do him in a disservice.
Clearly, he was the hero here. What? He did
It's the
something right.
exact opposite.
To warrant a statue, he must have done. He warranted some good.
That's true, actually. At some point, he must have been.
Yeah.
The question is, what did he do to become the Black Traitor?
Well, the Queen has told you that he, in her view, he prolonged the war with the Protector of Mintar, and so took monies out. Yeah, so and
He
embezzled and took treasures, Omladrin gems certainly, and then hightailed out of the kingdom.
Did you say Eladrin?
Omladrin gems.
Oh,
It's those
I was
teleport.
really worrying there for a second.
Yeah, they enhance magics, and in particular teleportation magics.
Yeah, they make really good teleportation stuff. Right.
I imagine Danola wants this removed for the wrong reason, but perhaps it should be removed.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the point in keeping a symbol of despair in your city. Surely you should strive to have a symbol of hope.
This metal.
You think there should be a statue of Darion?
Well, not yet, but
Give it time. By Tuesday.
It's the goal. It's the goal. Yeah.
A symbol of
Anyway, you guys head back, and the next day comes. Okay, I'm not intending to do this kind of like day by day kind of stuff. So you're now seated in your county, Diego, and there's fealty to be sworn, and sheriffs kind of coming up and swearing their fealty. So you've got a few days of admin count tasks to do. We're going to start to move into the downtime phase in any case. The next morning, Darren, you're approached by some Order of the Gauntlet individuals who explain that the Vindicator is awaiting you at Castle Ilkazar and ready for you to head down there. And there's a couple of representatives from Sula and your brothers there, Ox as well, kind of wanting some decisions on what next to do and how to go about doing that. If you want to,
You get to relay everything to the Queen.
well, you sent letters, didn't you?
Yeah, but we're there as well, so we can give even more information.
Well, it takes 5 days. Well, you're in Saradush, not Daramar. The Queen is in Daramar. It takes 5 days to get from Saradush through to Daramar, so the letters haven't yet arrived there yet. if the topic of the statue comes up, Apraxin will tell you that the city keep the statue there purposefully as a reminder of what happens if a count obtains too much power.
So he was a count.
No, Danilo of Waterdeep was instrumental in creating Surkazar as a palatinate, so it has its own law-making ability and has legal authority over that the Queen would normally have. So it can take decisions that would normally be reserved for the Queen. Danilo of Waterdeep was instrumental in achieving that legal state, as he persuaded the Queen that it was necessary to have that to be able to effectively wage war on the Baneites. He would need to be able to create, make, amend laws so that he could manage that war front more effectively. And therefore they keep the statue. So the people of the city insist upon it being kept there rather than anybody else, to remind everybody what happens if you give too much power to one person.
But it's covered, so it's not really reminding them.
Oh, it's covered because that's the symbolism of it.
Okay.
That's why it's important.
Do you think it's Danolo's fault we're all here? Like,
He's planned this since Diego's 4.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to wonder. Like, did he like nudge someone in the Lord's Alliance, being like, do you think my nephew could take up that position? And...
Yeah. It's all falling into place exactly how he wanted.
And he sent you with some of your are wielding some equal power over land and other resources now as well.
He probably didn't expect that.
Oh, well, Ox is in the Lord's Alliance as well.
Yeah, but the whole thing with Bahamut as well. I mean, I think the biggest thorn in his side potentially could be Darion.
Don't know if that one's that smart. That's like...
Darion is the biggest point.
Because you are so
He's
smart.
playing chess and I'm playing checkers, so I don't...
Yeah, we're not tripping over each other's toes.
I don't think I'm much of an intellectual match for Danilo. Certainly not in character.
So we obviously informed Diego of this statue. What would Diego choose to do with it?
Why on earth did you go there without me?
I mean,
It's Darion's idea.
Darion, why would you go there without me?
Well, we didn't want to wake you, and I assumed you were with Tef and Woods.
Who knew you were full play?
Red caps! There was red caps!
There was Red Cat, yeah.
This is Darion's paranoia.
They were from there before. Keep an eye out, Diego.
Yes, there's Fey evilness afoot. It could have just been mushrooms, but Darion's definitely.
They were Red Cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Darion's convinced.
Okay. So the next main thing is Darion's entry into Castle Ulcazar, and then I'd like to get a view on what you want to do to. And there's not masses to be said about the entry to Castle Ulcazar, if I'm entirely honest. But I'd like to get that done. So, Darion, is there anything particular that you want to do in terms of your entry to the castle?
Oh, I'll just ride up with them in. It's not going to be any big show or dance. And then just spend some time getting to know my new quarters, and I suppose spend some time with the men and learn about the routine of the 10-day of the castle.
Yeah. Okay. So the Vindicator is on patrol when you arrive, but he's left instructions as to how you should be greeted, and his kind of main instruction is that you do settle down and get all of that. The castle is imposing. It is substantial in its size, and it dominates this part of Tessia. It lives on its own rise above the plain, and it's used as a navigation point, more or less, as far as the eye can see from there. It's well maintained. It runs really, really well, irrespective of what the kind of view might be from the Order of Gauntlet in Waterdeep, there's nothing that you find that seems to be out of place or out of order. All the Order of Gauntlet protocols have been observed. The it's all very sensible. It's well resourced. It's well ran. The people are capable. They all seem to enjoy being part of this community. They rotate on and off their duties and their tours in the castle reasonably. A lot of their families live either within the castle or in the village of Ilkasar, just further out. And there's nothing substantial that you can kind of like pick at or find that doesn't look right. It's a very serious-minded endeavour by a bunch of committed people who are definitely trying their hardest, following what is good practice in Order of Gauntleting, basically.
And those walls are super thick as well, aren't
Oh,
they?
very
Like,
much so.
the
Very,
picture you-
very thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're 15, 20 feet thick on the kind of outer. And whilst it's a castle and whilst it's a defensive fortification, there's been quite a lot of work put into making it feel comfortable and making it feel as homely as possible, I guess. And you're well greeted by everybody. Everybody's super friendly. Everybody's takes time out to explain what they're doing, to help you. Very proactive in trying to support and help as well. If you question kind of why aren't normal reports being kind of forwarded, the general response is because we were waiting for Castellan. That's the Castellan's responsibility, and we needed the role to be fulfilled, and so on.
But my bodyguard made it here okay, and so Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah, all the guys there. Yeah.
Would we
Yeah.
be in tow for this?
Sorry,
Not-
sorry, Diego.
Would we be in tow with Darion for this? or
Do
not?
you want to take them? It would be very hard for you to escape your duties, Diego. Ox could go.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll have returned
Yeah.
to the Dragon
Okay.
Ball.
Okay, so before we... Oh, that shouldn't do that. Before we finish for the evening, then, do we want to just talk through what downtime activities you guys want to undertake? The main downtime activities.
Can we get two of them? Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Right. And personal downtime's a separate, distinct thing.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay.
One of my
I was-
downtimes will be organising this. The other one will be spying heavily. It's more like 1.5 will be spent spying on Donolo.
Okay, so your first thing, you need to establish a bit of a spy ring, so you can use one of your domain downtime actions to start to establish a spy ring. So you'll try to get somebody who kind of like is in it. So he's a Chancellor Exchequer, so possibly somebody who's within the administration, well placed within the administration. Yep. Okay.
So is that one? That's one downtime you're spending.
To be fair, before we even start, like during the discussions, that is one thing I've wanted since day one.
There's a spy ring. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then, once you've got the spy ring established, you can start to use the gather information kind of domain downtime to start to try to find out what it is that you want to find out. Okay. So then, other things you could be doing would be establishing a trade relationship, strengthening the border, amending the law.
Yep.
You could initiate a border skirmish. You could launch a war. You could start to support a faction, faith, or demographic. So you could say, right, okay, I want to.
I don't think building a wall is the case, but I remember when reports of Zentarum caravan certainly going south.
Yeah.
I think upping the patrols around Mintar would certainly be one.
Yeah. So strengthen the border.
I don't know, I think.
So the other one that would be kind of possibly relevant would be improving the infrastructure. So putting some investments and monies or what have you into specific infrastructural works
Mm, I think the spy network is a particularly good idea, though. But another issue of mine is, do you remember the expenses scandal a couple of years back?
Yeah, it stung me, big style.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the
I feel
MP's
like
one, not the one
that
at
is
work.
needed for the rest of the nobility.
Okay.
Because from Diego's opinion of what he's seen in Saradush upon that welcome, is what on earth are the nobility doing with their money to put back into Saradush? You know, what's being done with it?
So Saradush.
Are they just buying an extra toilet seat for about $1 million?
Yeah, well, okay. So let's just be Praxian will explain this. So Saradush is a chartered city. So the relationship between the city and the nobility is a strange one. In particular, the nobility. So the city is independent from the nobility. You're its titular head as the Lord Mayor, but you don't really have any great power. The power's vested in the city council. So the nobility own lands out in the rural estates, and predominantly nobles are rural, and cities. One of the reasons why cities form is to break away from the magnates, to break away from the nobility, and for the people to be free and to form their own views. So the nobility will try to, in some way, suppress Saradush because it is not helping them. But the middle classes want Saradush to be stronger. But the nobility don't like the middle classes because they want all the power, as a general rule, he says. So if you want to spend monies to improve Saradush or to improve other areas of the county, then we can do that. We do have a budget within the Chancellery. It's not a strong budget, but we can start to spend that however you wish us to spend it, my lord.
Would it be possible to set up somewhere for these squatters to go to?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So you could do an improved infrastructure downtime action to put up like a poorhouse style.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So is that what you want to do?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll pick these up in the forum to add some more details to it. That's cool. Okay. So Ox.
The first will be starting construction on that road.
Okay, so that comes for free. Resmir is willing to fund that herself. So that is an infrastructure improvement on the road.
We need to start an infrastructure on the actual settlement as well, making the war camp a bit more solid, rather, actual physical buildings rather than.
Okay, so there's build a stronghold or a settlement in the DMG. So you want to do that? Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't got access to all the downtime stuff at the moment. Nothing's like.
Will Diego see any rent from that?
If you want to, yeah. Oh, what rent from Ox?
From Ox?
Yeah.
You fiend!
Oh my god, Divine Sense has just pinged.
I mean, if it was just Oz could stay in a spare room in my castle.
I'm just going to tell him it's paid direct to Danilo because I know Diego won't question Danilo.
Oh, Diego will question that.
Well, I thought you were going to take your payment in terms of Dragonborn service, wasn't it? That was the original idea. Were you not wanting an honor guard?
Yeah.
I'd much rather the Dragonborn put back into the community, certainly of Saradush, which is where it's based.
Back into my community,
We are building a road through the county.
Exactly.
Yeah, so joining Green Nest, which is one of the main towns of the county, to Saradush, which is the main city of the county.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fairly major. What were the downtime options for?
So you could establish a spiring, you could gather information if you got the spiring, you could try to seek to establish a trading relationship. You could strengthen the border, you could seek to amend the law, but you can't really do that. You could try to influence the Chancellery in some way. Initiate border skirmish.
At the moment, because it's new, it's more setting up this as a home at the moment. So
Yep.
to begin with, it's construction, the road, construction, the settlement, and it's gonna have to be trade at the moment. I would think getting in food, getting in.
Yeah.
You could trade services.
We
as
need
well.
supplies for the construction, yeah, and trading in services. Kind
Yeah,
of.
okay, so you could be selling goods or services in exchange for the foods and such like, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So you'll put your Dragonborn, and it's not all Dragonborn in your group, there's
Yeah.
the rest as well, but put them to work helping out with harvest and improving the infrastructure just generally around in return for food, a share of the harvest and such like.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, cool. Possibly then preparing
You
the
said that you're
food
doing,
lands.
like rent and whatnot to like Danilo was looking at. I'd much rather you do that to me, if anything, to distract Danilo or
I
distract
was never going to pay attention to Nola. That was just...
Oh, Danilo is your Chancellor of the Exchequer. So all monies that come into that county, unless Ox brings a big bag of gold and hands it to you, it is going through.
Tax-free. Cashing and tax-free.
It is going through Danilo Darkblade's bureau.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
And you were so mad when I was like, well, I can't speak for Diego. I don't take Danola with him. And you went, bastard. You took him anyway.
No, yeah, we'll have to go through the chart.
Yeah. Okay. So Darion, what's your two?
Can I get just a little? So when it's just me and Colleen, or when it's just me and Colleen, can I just ask him a question?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna ask. So like, just have our usual exchange. Buddy, and then I go. Can I ask you a serious question?
No.
That
Only
is a
funny
question.
ones. Only funny ones. Yeah, that's your question. No, yeah. Go on. Of course, Whitehawk.
Say we were in the middle of a tense battle, and
We're in the middle of a tense battle. I said it.
yeah, and it was raging. I stood on one side.
I'm not a barbarian. I don't rage.
I stood over one side of the field of battle, and your mother over the other. And we were both in peril. Who would you be rushing to save?
You. He says it without blinking. He says it without thought.
Blinking.
Yeah, he says it without thought. It's just like
Thought.
you. Yeah. It's
Can I
like
get-
self-evident.
say that?
Yeah, go for it.
Why would you be bringing
Oh.
his mother to a battle?
Oh, she's a Whitehawk. She's the
She's
same rank.
a
She's the same rank in the Order of Gauntlets as Darion. She's.
I was expecting a little old lady.
No, she commands a lot of power, and she.
Right, okay.
That's a flat 17 though.
Oh, he got a bumpy 6. He's absolutely 100% straight down the line.
Curious.
Why is this
I-
curious?
I would never condemn you going to rescue your mother.
Why did you?
He shrugs. I have made a sacred vow.
And she's more capable of it.
And frankly, she'd whoop my ass. She'd be coming to save me. I've made a sacred vow, Whitehawk. My mother fully understands. She would think worse of me for dereliction of duty. We all die. That's part of our condition here. And when I die, I want to ascend to Mount Celestia so that I can serve further my duty to Torm.
You're a good man, Cole.
Thank you, Whitehawk.
And with that, then, with that little bit of information,
I will
I want to do
invade the
the-
Protectorate. I'm going to use the launcher war.
start the Inquisition. I want to do the create a spy ring, but like in quotation marks. 'Cause I'm not really creating one. I want to make friends with the local harpers, if that's at all possible, and I want Colleen to be heading that.
You have to find them first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they're known. They're a known force in the world, and I'm assuming they
gather
have.
information.
Yeah, so I want to buddy up with them to find out more about the Bay Knights and investigate this, because I think they'll be far better at gathering information
Yep,
and
okay, got you.
pushing me in the right direction to be because they work in the shadows, so I guess I can be the sword that they thrust into the room.
Yeah, okay, cool, like it. And the second,
yeah, so that's the first downtime action, and the second one I want to follow up on all the reports that come back about those bands, and manage that personally, and even when we go to fully engage them, I actually want to personally have downtime there. Otherwise, my downtime is going to be spent just in the castle doing the regular business and learning, getting along with the men of the castle, men and women of the castle.
yeah, okay.
Meeting the Vindicator and chatting with him if at all possible.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, two main things: establish spy ring or join one, and follow up on this bandits and possibly annihilate them if at all possible.
Yeah, okay. So I'm probably thinking that is something that I'd like to do in game time next time, actually. Mm-hmm. If that works for you guys. So do you want to choose a second domain downtime action? So we'll just do that as the main session.
Oh, okay. I had those two solidly in mind, so we're gonna.
Well, one of the things that you're kind of trying to do is to kind of reach out to the common man as well, wasn't it? So you could start to support, a demographic, the kind of like the rural population out within Surkazar.
Yeah. I suppose we could get moving on with that half-orc business and trying to get them properly recognised, but I need to do that hand in hand with the eight. How much authority/power do I have to encourage them to join a settlement close to me, or I don't? There won't be any space for them, will there?
No, it would be very hard for you to attract half orcs.
Yeah.
I mean, you could put a big shiny light.
Can you just go through the downtime activities quickly?
Yeah, I'll start from the bottom.
Sure,
so you could set up trading goods or services. You could sell goods or services. You could levy increased taxes. You could improve infrastructure. You could assassinate. Especially you attempt to kill an individual. Can you imagine the DC of that to try and kill Danilo? You could put in a grand design where Kevin McLeod comes over. Yeah.
The garden looks a lot.
Support a faction faithful demographic, which is where you essentially increase your renown with that area in the little renown chart that I shared with you guys. You could launch a war. You could initiate a border skirmish. You can amend the law. That's really more about trying to lobby to amend the law in your circumstances. You could strengthen the border, increasing patrols, etc., etc. Establish a trading relationship, gather information, or establish a spy ring.
Okay, so we're doing the spy thing. Can I modify the strength to be like, let's up the patrols in those troublesome areas where the bandits.
Yeah, absolutely. So the southern border rather than kind of that bit there. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Oh, just don't know. Sooner or later, we're going to end up with some. Well, I think this is fairly clear. We're going to Darkblade Civil War.
Not necessarily.
Well, if I end up setting up Diego's spy network, they're going to have to contest with Danolo's spy network, which is clearly in Saradush.
Well,
you're just joining his spy network and you don't even know it, and so he knows everything you know.
No, turn to the dark side.
Is what we're saying.
Everybody is
turn to the dark side and join Danilo.
Everybody in Saradush is employed by at least 5 spy rings. I can't. Who am I spying for
Attack the
today, Lou?
Harpers then. You know the Harpers can't be bought out. Sure.
Never know.
Okay.
Vitonolo's a hap.
Maybe Donald's an Oliphant.
There are limitations to Danilo. He follows the same rules as you guys do. He's just had a few more
I mean,
years.
he's a shapeshifter.
Yeah, but he knows how to break them. Or to bend them.
Okay, so it's 8 minutes past the hour of 11. So I'm planning on stopping there.
I'll look forward to the next session.
Oh, okay, that's just confused me. I don't know what's happening there. I will go and look at that in a little bit. So, yeah, that's completely put me off. So, anything you want to kind of do before we finish?
I don't think anything that needs to happen before next session, rather.
Yeah. Okay.
And I suppose as like the sidest note, if I could hear anything about, I guess that'd be personal downtime / asking Colleen's mother, Lady Colleen, Hot, yeah, quite Hot Colleen,
I think I'd want
just
a
to
dossier
gain
of
more
potential-
information on Breakbone.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I'd want a dossier of potential spy masters. And I think the only person I'd probably talk to about this might actually be Praxton.
I like your spy network CV. I had to decode it, and it was hard. So you did a good. And I can't read it, frankly. So you did a great job. What does it say?
Okay, so I'll follow up on
Every
those
letter
things.
is actually the next letter of the alphabet. Does that help you?
Yeah, Alan Turing says I tried my hardest.
Did you see that? I just need that spy decoder ring.
You can outstand the issue. Lots of
Okay, right. So, thank you very much, guys. That was a good session. Enjoyed that as usual. I think it progressed some items of the plot in an interesting way. I hope that you enjoyed it too. Anything particular you want to pull out that you
I
enjoyed?
think it was a good RP.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed the village. The village.
I need to
And
make
the,
a first
and the
draft.
statue.
I need to make a first draft of this conspiracy board with all potential enemies and allies on it.
Yeah,
gonna
okay.
be a complete mess.
See, like one of them CSI things with the links to everyone.
Well,
In the middle, Danilo.
I'm gonna have one circle of like known forces in the world. Known forces in Surkazar, and then on the outer circle, I'm gonna have greater forces and try to map like I don't know where the Feywild's fitting into all this, but it's somewhere surely.
Indeed.
He's just going to say mushrooms in the corner.
Just a little picture of the mushrooms.
Yeah.
And Nolo's gonna be connected to everything, being like question mark.
Okay. Maybe
There's
Danilo.
black thread everywhere.
Maybe you
And
should.
they're all colour coded.
Yeah. Maybe we should do like a cross-dressing night and see if Danilo looks exactly like De Winter.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there. Okay.
Diego comes dressed as Tef, and Tef comes dressed as Diego.
Yeah. So I think, Martin, you had a challenge possibly on the 7th, which is the next day that we should be playing. You were.
Yes. Although, so it's a trade day, but it's not like. So I can't see it going past 5 o'clock. But I imagine I should be able to make it back here.
Okay, cool. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you if you watch the stream. Thank you if you are checking this out on YouTube. Our next game will be the 7th of December, 8:30 GMT. And what we'll be doing there is we'll be having to see what happens with Brigands when the Ranger comes back, see if there's any info that she brings, any other bits and pieces that get compiled from either the Queen or from the Kalashites. See where that takes us, I think. If you want to get in touch with us, you can give us a tweet at mostly off topic. You can email us mostlyoftopic@gmail.com. And in the trailer for this, if these guys give me social media or contact information, and then there will be contact details, so you can get a hold of us individually. You can be like, Ox, you should have done this. Darion, get your fucking, do paladin stuff. Diego, yeah, you're fucked.
Dolo's got you.
Any positive comments about my GMing style would be more than welcome. Send them to these guys because they clearly don't respect my authority enough. I know how good I am, and it's not that good. So anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for playing. It was good fun, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Oh no, stop. Waterdeep is happening on Tuesday, so if you're interested in Waterdeep rather than this game, then we'll be continuing Dragon Heist about 8:30 again, Tuesday the 27th of November. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, I need to stop this thing, don't I? Boom, there we go.